Spring Lake First Nation could soon begin talks with the Saskatchewan Marshals Service after a band council resolution passed earlier this week. The First Nation has invited the service to support on-reserve operations alongside the RCMP. Officials say a future agreement would improve coordination and strengthen community safety efforts. Preliminary reports show severe weather caused impacts across southeastern Saskatchewan last night. A tornado was reported in the North Portal, Oxbow, and Alameda area, where damage has also been reported. Kyle McCauley with Environment and Climate Change Canada talked about some of the reports from last night.
The city of Regina had reports of golf ball size hail. There was a report of a funnel cloud, maybe another tornado, but it sounded like it was just a funnel cloud just to the north of the city in Southie.
Weyburn and Indian Head each received about 30 millimeters of rain, while wind gusts near 85 kilometers an hour were reported in Estevan and Yorkton. Officials say the information is preliminary and damage assessments are ongoing. Regina police are asking for help in the search for missing 35-year-old Camille Hilderman. Crews searched Lakewood Lake in northwest Regina on Tuesday with assistance from fire crews, while nearby rural areas are also being checked. Residents are asked to avoid the area. Hilderman, also known as Dee Dee, was last seen June 5th in Wolseley and is believed to have traveled to Regina. Regina City Council is set for a busy day with several high-profile issues up for debate. Among them is a proposed $1.5 million contribution to help secure the 2027 Grey Cup, along with measures aimed at reducing damage to overpasses and reviewing penalties for offending drivers. Councillors will also revisit options for fare-free public transit after discussions at Executive Committee. The meeting is running this afternoon in Henry Baker Hall at City Hall. That's 620 CKRM News. Read more stories from around your community and around the province at sasktoday.ca and 620ckrm.com.
Weather for B&A Petroleum and Swift Current, with multiple locations serving southern Saskatchewan for over 30 years. See B&A Petroleum for all your fuel and propane needs.
For the remainder of today, spotty showers and thunderstorms up to a high of 19 degrees, very light wind out of the north-northwest. Tonight, isolated showers, overnight low down to 9 degrees. For Thursday, spotty showers and isolated thunderstorms, a high of 16. Thursday night, mainly cloudy, overnight low down to 6. Friday, cloudy, isolated showers, a high of 15. For Saturday, mostly sunny, once again a high of 15. And for Sunday, partly to mostly sunny and warming up with a high of 18 degrees Celsius. Right now in downtown Regina at the corner of 11th and Rose, it is 16 Celsius.
B&A Petroleum is a southern Saskatchewan family-owned business that's there for you. They've been supporting their clients for over 30 years with locations in several communities throughout the southern part of the province. B&A Petroleum is available for all your bulk fuel and lubricant needs, with propane at selected locations Monday to Friday. And don't forget, their Cardlock location is accessible 24 hours for your convenience. B&A Petroleum. Fuel you once, fuel you forever.
Broadcasting from Century Studios in downtown Regina, Harvard Media presents The Sportscage, where Saskatchewan comes to talk local sports. Brought to you by Regina Motor Products. RMP summer offer on now until August 31st. Receive a $25 SOE gift card with purchase of a vehicle health check and oil change package. Visit RMP today. Be part of the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262. The Sports Cage. Streaming at sportscage.com, our YouTube channel, and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
Good afternoon, Saskatchewan. I was going to call it the Hump Day Wednesday edition of the program, but that's always seemed like such a stupid way to introduce a show, so I'm not going to do that today. John Hodge will join us later in hour one. Haven't talked to him in a while about the new CFL TV contract and also what materialized in week one of the Canadian Football League. What's ahead in week number 2? Arash Madani wants to talk about the World Cup. He will join us in hour 2. We will hear from Jamarcus Hardrick. Apparently he did a little bit of fishing in hour 2. And also Oliver Timo from the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame about an event they have coming up tomorrow on Thursday in Regina. My name is Brendan McGuire, along with Curtis Gammon on this edition of the program. You can chime in by calling toll-free 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262, or if you're on Twitter, X, whatever they call it now, at Sportscage is our handle. But right out of the chute, I wanted to get you all caught up on what's happening with the Regina Red Sox and the Regina Pats. We go out to my good buddy Dante Caria, who's been on the ground slaving away at a hot baseball diamond near you. Listen, I haven't been to any games yet, and I was chatting with Gary Brotzel the other day, and he said, boy, it sure would be great if you'd show your face out here once in a while. And so I will get out there soon. But what have the crowd's been like so far?
I think the crowds have been awesome. I think the atmosphere has been amazing. I think with Brand Sports and Entertainment, led obviously by the ownership of the Red Sox and the Pats, installing a new Jumbotron or a video board just beyond the left field wall has really just added a new element to Curry Field, allowing the fans to kind of interact with the video board, whether that be replays, which I know the umpires aren't necessarily a fan of, because the fans have gotten on the umpires, given that it's such a condensed area and the fans can really get on the umpires. So that's been kind of something to look at. And to me, when you have a video board and you have a graphic up there that says who's batting and who's pitching, it just adds a little bit of a different element. You have different statistics on the board as well. It kind of feels like a professional or a college or even a Major League Baseball game. Other than that, I think the food and beverage has really taken a huge step at Curry Field, to be quite honest with you. There's a Mexican food truck down the left field line. They've had Schneider's involved with all the hamburgers and hot dogs. The concession stand has really improved itself. The Queen City Distillery's cocktail caravan is also down the left field line. I know they're continuing to add more food and beverage options, which, by the way, are all under $10, which I think is huge. And I'll be honest, Brendan, every night that I'm either working at Curry Field or just coming as a fan, I'm always grabbing a bite to eat or something like that. And I've been really impressed with the food and beverage options and just the overall game day experience. We have Bark in the Park coming up on Friday, where all the dogs are going to be in attendance, which I'm sure is going to be really exciting for pet owners. So I think the atmosphere has been awesome. Sunday's game was a great crowd. I think there was close to 950 people in attendance, a lot of baseball teams, a lot of youth programs as well. So overall, I think it's been a really fun success through the first 2 weeks of the season.
Well, I know that if you're involved, Diamond Dante, there will be no expense spared on behalf of the organization. But I've been seeing on social media a lot of the photos of what the Berries in Saskatoon did behind their home plate. What do you know about that? And is that going to make you guys up your game even further down here?
Well, I think we're always trying to compete with Saskatoon, regardless whether it's the WHL franchise, the Regina Pats against the Blades, or whether it be the Red Sox and the Berries. And I know that the Berries were the first team in Saskatchewan to install a video board, and the Regina Red Sox are the second. So let's see what they continue to do. I know that I'll be in Okotoks next week to take in a Dogs game. I'll be going down there for their academy tournament with my U13 AAA team. So really looking forward to seeing what kind of information I can bring back to Brand Sports and Entertainment and to the Red Sox on what they're doing down there. But Saskatoon does a great job, and I know Regina is going to continue to up their game and provide a really valuable experience at Curry Field for all of our fans.
Hey, you don't have to worry about offending any of the hockey crowd because it's just you and me talking, but your heart has long been with the great game of baseball even before hockey, has it not? You have a lot of experience broadcasting in the professional ranks, professional baseball. Tell us about the teams that you broadcast for down east.
Yeah, I guess where do I start? I mean, for me, I've always kind of loved baseball, probably a little bit more than hockey, although I kind of really went into hockey broadcasting first, and I've done more hockey broadcasting as of late, obviously with the Pats in the last 5 years. But started with the Ottawa professional franchise. They were called the Champions back then in 2016, which was the Can-Am League Independent Professional. They're now called the Ottawa Titans. And then I moved on to the Toronto Blue Jays organization in 2017, where I wasn't broadcasting, but I was still able to get on the air, where I called games with current Blue Jays radio play-by-play broadcaster Ben Schulman, and then ended up going to Lansing in 2018, calling games for the Lansing Lugnets, the Blue Jays Class A affiliate, which is now the Oakland Athletics, or I shouldn't call it the Oakland Athletics, Sacramento A's Class A affiliate. And then, came to Regina. I've done some Red Sox games over the last couple of years. I've coached baseball. Really excited to be involved with Team SAS this year for U13 Selects. So I'll be working their camp on July 8th. Helping all the top 2013 age players from across Saskatchewan, evaluating them. So big shout out to Baseball Sask and a big thanks to them for having me involved in their program. I've been coaching baseball the last 4 or 5 years here in Regina at the U13 level. Started my own travel program this past winter, went down to Kamloops, had a great experience, and just continuing to get involved in the game. And, to be at Curry Field with the collegiate players has been a lot of fun as well.
Have there been any discussions that you know of or that you can tell us of where maybe we might get a game or two once in a while for the Red Sox on this fine sports superstation we have here at 620 CKRM, already hosting the Riders, the Rams, the Pats, maybe the Red Sox one day?
Yeah, that'd be really cool. I hope for that. I know right now all the games are done by CTV's Donovan Mays on Flow College Sports, I think it is. It's an online stream, and with more camera angles that we've actually had this year with the video board and different angles and stuff like that and highlights, it's been a really, I think, good, live broadcast. I haven't had a chance to watch any of the games because I've been in attendance for all of those games. But, maybe one day. I guess I don't really know the answer for that, Brendan.
Well, maybe you and I will do a game one of these days, and we'll get the cool retro CKRM Blazers. I look forward to it, and we'll be on video streaming just like we are now, as well as over the AM dial. I was going to ask you, who are some of the star players for this year's Regina Red Sox that people can watch out for when they come to the park?
Well, the reigning WCBL Sask Player of the Week and Brady Bye. He was a catcher last year. He was the WCBL playoff MVP as the Red Sox captured their third WCBL championship title last year. And, Brady Bye has a really bright future ahead of himself. He's out of college eligibility, and I really expect him to make a jump to the pro ranks next year. Probably not in the affiliated pro ranks, just not there yet, but I think he has an opportunity to play, independent professional, whether that be, overseas or in North America. He's a great player, really clean left-handed swing, has transitioned to third base this year for the Red Sox. Had a strong collegiate year at Point University at the NAIA level down in Georgia. He currently has 4 home runs and 16 RBIs in 9 games so far this season. He's batting .410 with an on-base percentage just above 600. It just looks almost too easy for him right now. I think he's playing in a league that he's probably surpassed as far as his development. But, obviously he's a local kid. He's from White City. He's done a lot for this community, and he's meant a lot to the organization. So I think he's kind of the main player that fans and kids really look up to, given that he's a local ambassador of the game. And Justin Simard, who's been with the team for the last 3 or 4 years, has really done a good job in the leadoff spot. He's kind of playing out of position right now because Ryan Pathakos hasn't really had his full team arrive just yet. He just signed a D1 catcher out of Indiana State in Carson Cox. But Simard has just been so good. He's batting close to 400 this year. On-base percentage is super high. I think he's got 11 RBIs in 9 games with a home run, and I think he's leading the team in doubles so far this season. On-base percentage well over 400 has been really important to the team at the top of the order. But let's be honest, Brendan, I think the team needs more production than just from their leadoff man and their cleanup hitter in Brady Bye, with Simard hitting number 1. And he's had to play out of position. I think they're looking forward to getting Lance Anderson in the lineup when he comes in. He's a 2-time Gold Glove conference shortstop. Simard's a third baseman that has played second, and now recently, because of his bat, has had to play a lot of shortstop in the last week or so. So I think Rye's roster is still being tinkered with right now. They're still waiting for some players to arrive until they can kind of put that full starting 9 out there. On the pitching side, Cannon Henserling is a guy that myself and Mitch McDonald actually have clocked at about 94 miles per hour on his fastball last week. And he did have some trouble with his command in the second and third inning, but he's a freshman at a Nicholls State University that I expect through 7 or 8 starts this year will rack up a ton of strikeouts and light up the radar gun. And he needs innings. He only had 7 innings this year as a freshman at Nicholls State, a D1 program. In which the Red Sox have a ton of players from that program on their roster, which includes the shortstop Mason Cantor, and Alex Rue played that program before as well. So really good. And Kagan Baker has been very good. He had 14 strikeouts against Swift Current on Sunday, gave up just 1 earned run. A guy that, according to the WCBL website, was an honorable mention for Player of the Week honors, given his performance, but Brady Bai took those honors. So those are kind of the guys that come to mind right off the top. But really good team. Like the offense. They're only getting contributions from like 2 or 3 guys right now, so they're going to need more contributions from the whole lineup. And really like the starting pitching staff. I think Ryan needs a little bit more out of that bullpen. I think some guys really need to step it up in that bullpen. And, it's still early. They've only played 9 games, and I guess we'll have to wait and see on how the rest of the season goes.
Chopping it up with Regina Pats and Regina Red Sox PR muckety muck Dante Caria here on the Sports Cage on 620 CKRM. When I think of the organizations that are the big fish, you think about that in Major League Baseball, there's a handful of organizations that are big, and then there's kind of everybody else. Not saying that the everybody else aren't relevant or that they can't win, but they're on a different class. And in the WCBL right now, I think of the Red Sox, I think of the Saskatoon Berries, I think of the Okotoks, they're always there, obviously. I think of Sylvan Lake. I don't think of Energy City Cactus Rats anymore. I feel like they've slipped to irrelevance, and those are my words, not yours. And I think of Medicine Hat as another one. I feel like those are kind of the big 5 right now. I should put my hand in front of the camera. Am I right? Am I wrong? What would be your response to that?
I think Lethbridge is the number 1 team in the West. Has to be up there. To me, Okotoks is probably going to be up there by season's end. Same with the Medicine Hats. Same with the, the Sylvan Lakes of the world. But Lethbridge has a really good roster. Carter Clairhout was the NAIA Player of the Year. He's a Alberta first baseman that has had a really good start to the season. Brendan, he hit like .550 with 29 home runs this year at Bellevue. Like, he's a very good player. You look at, the players that the Medicine Hat Mavericks have, led by Carter Roth. He led all NAIA. In fact, he set the all-time NAIA conference record with 111 hits this year. So there's some really good players in Alberta, really good players. Lethbridge is a very good team. They've been able to develop a lot of players that have gone on to the pro ranks. So I don't count the Lethbridge Bulls out of it just yet. As far as the East, to me, the number 1 team in the entire league is the Saskatoon Berries. They're very good. Their manager knows it, and Joe Carnahan, knows what he's doing. They've developed a really strong program. They have a little bit of a younger team, but guys coming out of really good schools, some high-end Division I schools, etc. They've got some good local players as well. The Berries Academy and the Going Yard Academy in Saskatoon has developed a lot of players in Saskatchewan in the last couple of years or so. So I think you're on point. I do feel bad for the Moose Jaws and the Swift Currents and the Weyburn's of the world, just because they're having a hard time attracting top collegiate talent. But Rai Pathakos has done a really good job with this roster. It's a big roster. Lots of guys are fighting for playing time. Guys are fighting for innings. There's about close to 36, 40 players, if you count all the affiliates on this roster right now. When you look at some of the other teams, they have much smaller rosters. So we'll see how things kind of shake out with the Red Sox, but I would throw Lethbridge, at the top in the West, and then I would say Saskatoon easily number 1 in the East.
I feel like one day there will be room and they will be able to marry it all together where they have a happy medium of maybe fewer games, whatever, so that some of those other places that you mentioned can compete a little bit better, because we need, those of us in Regina, we already lost Yorkton, Melville, we need Swift Current and Weyburn and Moose Jaw to have a Regina Red Sox. It can't be a province of just the Berries and the Red Sox, but I know that's a way deeper conversation, and you work for the organization, and there's varying opinions about that. Hey, you work with the Pats. Are you guys going to hire a head coach, or what's going on?
You're asking the wrong guy, Brennan. I don't have that information.
You have lots of pull in that front office. Don't feed me that baloney. Sure.
Yeah, I saw online yesterday that someone was saying that Chris Knobloch was going to be the next coach of the Regina Pats. I have not asked Dale Durkach that question. If it happened, great. I don't know who made up that rumor. Highly unlikely that a guy who's been to 2 Stanley Cups in the last 3 years is going to go from the NHL to Major Junior. Like, let's be honest.
But it's funny. But you know as well as I do, some of those NHL guys fall flat on their face in Major Junior. Corey Clouston went to your hometown, Ottawa, and did a nice job with the Senators, and he came back to the Western League. He was in Brandon. He was a dud there, and then he was a complete dud in Prince Albert. It's hard to coach in this Western Hockey League, and some of those NHL guys can't do it either.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm just highly unlikely that Chris Knobloch, after having so much success at the major junior level and going to like literally 2 Stanley Cups with Connor McDavid, is going to go coach in the Western Hockey League. Now, if it happens, great, but I have no idea if that's the case. I know that there was a rumor that was on social media in the last couple of days, and fans have been wondering. Well, if it was
on social media, it has to be true. You know that.
Exactly. It was on Facebook. It was on Regina Pats Hot Takes. It's 100% true. I have no idea where this came from. I have not asked Dale about the process, nor should he tell me. That stuff has to stay confidential. So I have no idea what direction they're going with the coaching staff. We'll just have to wait. When I get the phone call, handful of days before I have to put out a press release or hold a press conference, I'm sure I'll call you, Brendan.
You'll call us and you'll spill the beans before you put out the press release when it comes down. But you haven't been given any timeline. Everybody's just sitting back and giving Dale the space and time he needs to figure this out. And training camp doesn't start for another 2.5 months, and really there's still time.
Well, I mean, honestly, like, I'll just be frank with you. Like, I've been so busy with baseball and the Regina Red Sox that my mind's been somewhere else. Like, I'm at the park every day. I'm working with Rye and Gary and the staff there, and our business staff, to put on a good experience for you, the fans. So when I get told that a coach has been hired and I publish it, on social media and send out a press release to you guys, you'll only know a couple days after I know, right? So I just wait, but right now I've just been focused on baseball.
Okay. All right. That's good enough. Hey, before we let you go, there's one thing that I just wanted to ask you. Has anyone ever told you that you look like a young Artie Bucco from The Sopranos?
Yep. Well, you told me that. That was you. That was you, Brendan.
Do we have the shot? There we go.
There he is.
Sorry, our radio listeners can't see this, but there you go. I think you'd look great in the kitchen. Man. I would hire you tomorrow if I had my own.
Hey, I love The Sopranos. Artie Bucco, not my favorite character on The Sopranos. I wish I was.
Who is your favorite? Who is?
Bobby Bacala, man. He's the man. He was the most gentle. He never wanted to take anyone out. In fact, I think he only had like 1 or 2 hits in the whole series, and like they had to really force him to do it because he didn't want to do it. Bobby Bacala. But Tony Soprano, I mean, come on. Nothing beats him, right?
You'd have to add about 200 pounds in weight if you were going to be Bobby Bacalari, but we'll talk about that another day. Hey, listen, enjoy the baseball, enjoy the summer, and all the coaching that you do. Thank you for all the baseball coaching you do. I was out coaching little kids last night, looking at all the tornado clouds, and sometimes that feels like a thankless job. So I totally see what you... So I totally understand what you deal with, and thanks for all you do in the community. It does not go unrecognized.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Okay, that is Dante Caria with the Regina Pats and the Regina Red Sox, who are into their first season under new ownership management. One thing I forgot to ask him about, apparently that video board, that digital screen, is only temporary. The permanent one, which is going to be like really amazing, just isn't ready yet, but that will be in due time. I don't know if they'll have it ready before the end of this season or if we'll have to wait for next year. But either way, it's something new that we have been not used to seeing at Curry Field so far. Time to break. Still ahead in hour 1. We will check in with John Hodge from 3 Down Nation. You are listening to the Sports Cage on the almighty 620 CKRM and watching at sportscage.com.
Rider Nation lives on 620 CKRM. I'm Dave Thomas, voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Saturday is game day as the Riders take on the BC Lions. Countdown to kickoff with Tegan Whitco and Wes Cates is at 2. The pregame show's at 4. And kickoff with Luke Mullender and I is at 5. Saskatchewan Roughrider football on the Cooperators Rider Broadcast Network is brought to you by UFA, Steelcraft Doors, Stars Lottery, Salford Group, and Sask NDP Caucus. Stream every moment of Rider football at Sportscage.com.
House, cabin, office, home gym? If it has a floor, Flooring Superstore probably has something for it. Need carpet, laminate, hardwood, outdoor synthetic grass, rubber flooring for your gym? Yeah, they pretty much have it all. And if you're a do-it-yourselfer working on a small project, check out their cash and carry department for deeply discounted prices. So whether you're renovating a boardroom or covering that mystery floor in the basement, think Super. Flooring Superstore. Quality floor. Over 20 years serving Regina and area. FlooringSuperstoreRegina.ca.
For 70 years, Freeze Tallman has been more than a building supplier. It's been part of the community. Family owned since 1956, Freeze Tallman is proud to grow alongside the families, builders, and businesses they serve. This milestone is about more than time. It's about trust, hard work, and relationships built to last. Thank you for being part of the Freeze Tallman story. Visit freezetallman.com. Freeze Tallman. Locally owned, family grown, rooted in our community for 70 years.
When you play Sports Select, you're part of more than the game. You're backing over 12,000 sport, culture, and recreation groups across Saskatchewan funded through Sask Lotteries. So go ahead, make your picks at sportselect.com, generate your QR code, and lock in your bet at your local Lotto Spot retailer. Every play is 100% legal, and every ticket supports your community. Sports Select. When you're ready to play, bet on the original. Must be 18 plus. Please play responsibly.
Saskatchewan, it's time to talk sports. Sportscage is on the air. Be part of the show. Call 936-6262 or toll free 1-866-767-0620. And we're always online at sportscage.com. 620 CKRM.
Brendan McGuire and Curtis Gammon with you on this Wednesday edition of the Sports Cage. Coming up a little bit later, Arash Madani with Coast to Coast, and he wants to offer some thoughts on the World Cup. You know, I was looking at the World Cup schedule, and I am not a soccer guy by any means, but Canada versus Qatar coming up in Vancouver next week. It looks like a pretty cool event, and I think for a little while we are all going to be a little bit swallowed up, as we should be, by World Cup fever, because it's not every day that Canada plays in the World Cup. It's not every day we have it in our own backyard. Yes, FIFA's corrupt, and yes, some of these municipalities probably made a deal with the devil just to get the tournament, but when it's here, and I'm really curious to see how Team Canada does. You can chime in through calling 1-866-767-0620 or on the Prairie Mobile text line at 306-936-6262. A little bit earlier today, your voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Dave Thomas, had a chance to visit with Yoshi, the third-year offensive lineman Jamarcus Hardrick, and we'll take a listen to that right now.
Jamarcus Hardrick, probably the longest countdown to kickoff, I would think, of your career, from last year to finally getting to week number 2 in the CFL. How is the body feeling? How's the mind?
Body, mind feeling great. Ready to get out there with my guys. Excited for another season, excited for another opportunity. Still playing a game I love. Love my teammates, love this city, love this province, love the fans. I'm excited. It won't be perfect, but I'm ready to give them everything I got.
You and your teammates, to a man, have said that championship is in the background now. It doesn't mean anything anymore, and the fact that we're moving on to 2026. How easy is it to put it in the rearview mirror, say a championship as opposed to a West final defeat that you had to put in the rearview mirror in 2024?
Well, for me, it's a little easier because I'm a little older. When I was younger, it was probably a little harder, but now it's like it's always next day up, next season. I hate to say it like this, but 2025 died. And we have to move on. I can't even live there anymore. It's almost like rat poison. Me and my wife talk about it all the time. I can't even bring it up at home. We don't even bring up 2025. She always talk about that's the past. You're going to get hit in the mouth by 2026. So just the way we look at things, and I'm trying to pass it down that way, but we got great leadership. We always talking about winning today, putting things in the past, and I think Mason's doing a great job, and the leaders are. Like, 2026 is all that matters. Everything that happened in 2025 isn't going to help us. We got guys that are not here. A lot didn't change since then, so if you go in with that, you get hit in the mouth pretty quick. I don't look at it as a target, but you're going to get your best shot every game. I respect every player that I play against. I'm lose sleep over every player I play against, but there's some guys you lose a little bit more sleep over with, so I just respect the game, respect all the players, and even if we didn't win the last year, I always think a target on try to play with my target on my back. I hope we all do. That's just the way I look at it.
2024, right, ended in the injury. 2025, last year, you came back, and you had inspiration to prove that you could come back. You had motivation from your family to prove to them that they were right in believing in you. What motivates you in 2026?
Being better. Trying to be better than I was last year. Just watching all my low lights from last year. Want plays that I want back. Just want to be better, finding all the little details. After having a year off, just having it all season of watching film and looking at all the little things I want to, just not trying to put new tools in my toolbox, just trying to sharpen mine, trying to be the best I can be. And it's definitely plays I want it back. It's definitely ways I want to be a better leader, better husband, better dad. It's just want to be better in everything I do.
Where does that compete come from?
Being cut probably many times, or always just wanted to be the best. Even like always been on good teams and probably never been the guy, and I always wanted to just compete with those guys and just always wanted to be the best. I don't know, it's always been like this since I was little. My little cousins always talked to me about it when we were younger. They always said, man, you was like this when you was younger, man. Everyone hated coming over your house. They know we're going to run around outside, know we're going to do jumping jacks, know we're going to do push-ups until you cramp up. And still that way to this day.
Your teammates may believe that you are the best when it comes to fishing. How did you haul in that big fish last week?
I always say the fish is hungry. There's nothing I did. It's not called catching, it's called fishing. So it's nothing I did. I just threw it out there. Hey, I had a time in my life. My son was there. He caught 4 fish. He caught 4 walleye. Some we remember forever. I remember doing those things with my family and grandma later. But yeah, I caught a big one. There's nothing I did. I was sitting there and I felt that thing go under the boat. I said, we got something big here, buddy. And there we are.
30 pounds?
Sorry.
30, hey, I think.
Keep her on.
30 pounds.
Jamarcus Hardrick a little bit earlier today with Saskatchewan Roughrider broadcaster Dave Thomas. You know, I'm not a fan of the schedule having so many bye weeks mixed in there. I actually think it's a bit of a problem that they have 3 bye weeks. Players, I don't think particularly like it much because they've got to pay for whatever residence they're staying at and the season's longer, and they don't get any more game checks because of it. But one thing that is cool about it is that they can actually go out and see the place a little bit. That's one thing that I'm not a big fan of with the Western Canadian Baseball League, some of the changes that have been pushed in the last 5 to 6 years. Franchises, just a few of them, or one maybe, Okotoks, has been pushing for more games to be played because they get such big crowds. But what it also means is less off days, and these are kids who come from all over North America for nothing. And they don't get as many chances to go up to the lake on the weekend and go fishing like what Jamarcus Hardrick did. And one of the coolest parts of the Canadian Football League is we always talk about Canadian players and Canadian talent, but to me it's the Americans who come up and make our country better, and getting to see everything that we have here and learn that Regina is a pretty cool place and Saskatchewan's an even cooler place. So cool that he had a bye week where he could go do that, and hopefully he'll get the chance to do a little bit more of that around the province as the season continues. Before we break, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Mike Babcock story out of Edmonton. Sounds like the Oilers are ready to hire him and he's ready to load in. And the CFL, the NHL Players Association, is going to go ahead with their investigation about what happened in Columbus with him asking to see players' phones when he was supposed to coach the Blue Jackets and got fired. It was over before it started. And there had been speculation or stories that he had been doing something similar when he was still with the Toronto Maple Leafs. I cannot express to you all enough how ridiculous this is. He was mocked because he was asking, there's video of him going to Maple Leaf players saying, hey, show me the last 5 photos on your phone because I want to know a little bit more about you. So he got a little bit of mockery for that. And then when he showed up in Columbus, he was foolish enough to do the same thing because he was trying to get to know his players. He should have known better that, you know, you might run into some issues here. Maybe just don't do that. But regardless, look, I am as progressive and woke as they come when it comes to these kind of issues. But I honestly think that the way that Mike Babcock has been ostracized and bashed is ridiculous. And whatever he did, no way on earth is it worse than what the general manager of the Edmonton Oilers did or the head coach of the Anaheim Ducks did, Joel Quenneville. I'm talking about Stan Bowman and Joel Quenneville, in their complicitness or alleged complicitness in the sexual assault scandal that engulfed the Chicago Blackhawks a few years ago. If you're going to let those two back in the league, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't get a second chance, you absolutely have to let Mike Babcock in the league. And I'm hearing a lot of chatter that, we can't wait to hear what Mike Commodore is going to say about this, because Mike Commodore just loves to throw out insults with his big mouth on different podcasts about Mike Babcock, and he likes to attack him on social media and things like that. Well, Mike Commodore is about the least qualified person to comment about Mike Babcock, because he has had direct relations with him, where Babcock was coaching him in Anaheim early in his career, and Commodore was not a very good player at the beginning or even at the end of his playing career. I would argue he was a very mediocre player at best, even in the middle of his career when he won that Stanley Cup with Carolina. That's not to put him down. He overachieved, but I think that Mike Commodore picking on Mike Babcock is a perfect example of the garbage dump, the toxic waste that has become social media in recent years. I really hope the NHLPA goes ahead with their investigation, and I fully suspect that they will clear Mike Babcock and he'll be coaching the Oilers this fall. That's just my take. We will see how it all unfolds. I've got to take a break. When we come back, we'll check in with 3 Down Nation's John Hodge. You are listening to the Sports Cage on 620 CKRM and watching at sportscage.com.
If you've been putting up with cold showers and hard water that makes everything feel like more work, stop waiting. Reliance Heat makes it easy. Rent a water heater and a water softener starting at about $1.20 a day and get $400. That means hot water when you need it and water that just works better. No big upfront cost, no hassles. Visit waterheaterrentals.com to get the offer.
Call on Reliance.
Limited time offer. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Winter in Saskatchewan tests everything, our patience, vehicles, and sometimes our bumpers. From icy parking lot dings to serious highway mishaps, choosing local matters. At Regina Motor Products Collision Center, we're Saskatchewan owned, run, and we drive these roads too. An SGI accredited full-service collision center working on all makes and models. Submit your SGI claim and book your appraisal. It's easy. When you need repairs you can trust, it's neighbors helping neighbors. Regina Motor Products Collision Center, south at Highways 1 and 6 Albert Street, rmpchevrolet.com.
The world is changing. From the misuse of AI and the rise of deepfakes to the dangerous spread of misinformation, it's getting harder for Canadians to separate fact from fiction. That's why having a trustworthy news source is vital. At Global News, we're committed to objective journalism that cuts through the noise. Stick to the facts. Global News, Canada's trusted news.
Getting insurance is one thing, but making sure you're actually covered the way you think you are is another. At Lakeview Insurance, Scott Schultz and his team help you get a second opinion on your coverage so you know what you're protecting. It's about protecting what you've built. Talk to Lakeview Insurance today.
Text CKRM 306-936-6262. Powered by Prairie Land Rentals. From power tools to skid steers, they probably have what you need for your job. 600 Albert Street, where you deal with the owner. Welcome back to Sports Cage. Missed any part of the show? Check out the podcast powered by Freeze Tolman at 620ckrm.com and sportscage.com.
Still ahead in hour 3, we will check in with the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame about a pretty cool exhibit they have coming up here tomorrow on Thursday, June the 11th. And Arash Madani will also check in hour 2 as well. You can chime in on the conversation by calling 1-866-767-0620 or on the Prairie Mobile text line 306-936-6262. But right now we go out onto the Western Pizza Hotline. Very pleased to be joined by a 3 Down Nation insider, John Hodge, who watched the team in his own city, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, pull out a victory in Calgary. And before we get started in week 1, I wanted to ask you, John, do you think it would have been a different story if Calgary had those 2 defenders that they were missing, Jalen Hutchings and Folarin Oromalati, healthy?
I mean, I think those 2 are 2 of the best 5 defensive players in the CFL. So I think it very well could have been.
right? I think if you're the Bombers, you feel like you caught a bit of a break early in the season. Okay, we got 3 meetings against Calgary. Only one of them is at McMahon, and that first meeting, we didn't have to deal, right, with Hutchings, who's a game wrecker in the middle, and Flo, who's a game wrecker off the edge. So I still think the Bombers may have won, but certainly if you're Winnipeg, if you could inject truth serum into Mike O'Shea and company, they would say, heck yes, we were thrilled that those two individuals did not play against us.
My prediction at the start of the year for the Saskatchewan Roughriders was that they would finish third, maybe second in the West. I have them behind BC, and to me, the big wild card is those two players with the Stampeders. If they can stay healthy, I think they're going to be really, really tough to beat, but that's a big if. Remember, Saskatchewan could not beat the Stampeders a year ago. Is that a fair prediction? Am I in the right ballpark there?
I think so. And I mean, a number of coaches have talked about this. Scott Milanovich just mentioned it the other day. Like, the parity in this league is at maybe an all-time high in close to 30 years now of watching and or covering the Canadian Football League in some capacity. I don't know if I can remember a year quite like this one. Like, I think everybody fairly has Ottawa and Toronto a little bit lower, like that's out east. But in the West Division, I honestly think you can make a case. Not saying it can happen or will happen, but I think you could make a case for any team finishing first. Like, the Edmonton Elks looked polished, right? I thought certainly defensively in week one. Offensively, Justin Rankin is an absolute monster. The Calgary Stampeders were great, right? The first half of that game against Winnipeg. And let's not forget Reggie Begelton is currently out for them, arguably their best receiver. The Riders are the reigning Grey Cup champions. The BC Lions are my pick to go to the Grey Cup. But I also think the Winnipeg Blue Bombers could finish first. So, again, out east, it's maybe a little bit less parity. But in the West, I think there's 5 teams that you could argue are first. And I think, honestly, putting them in just about any order is justifiable.
I was just going to ask you that. Everybody says Edmonton's the most improved team from the offseason, yet everybody I've seen seems to be having them 5th. But I think what you're saying is you could throw a blanket over the whole division and whatever. There's just so much parity, and wherever you put them, 5 could go to first, and it could all go topsy-turvy. Hey, we haven't talked since the change of the playoff format or the new TV contract. First of all, I love all the changes that this commissioner's been doing, except one. I'm not a big fan of the new playoff setup that he's talking about. I don't think it's good for any league to have one team miss the playoffs, but I'm even willing to give that a shot. I appreciate the fact that we have a commissioner who is more about action than about talking. And I'll explain what I mean by that. We had Randy Ambrosi on the TV show, and I was asking him questions about American expansion and things like that. And I really got the sense that these were things that I had thought about more than he had. It feels like this is a commissioner we have who is all about action and all about trying to think 2 to 3 steps ahead. Is that a fair assessment?
Absolutely. And when you talk to sources around the league, that is how people who have worked close to Stu describe him. And that's people who are currently working with him or people who work closely with them at TSN, because there's a ton of people in CFL circles who, of course, worked with him on the media side as a partner before he, of course, became the commissioner. And he's somebody who I've heard described as a true CEO, a visionary, someone with tremendous ability to put things into action, to do so at a fast rate, and someone who's 2 steps ahead of the game. Those are some of the terms and things I've heard thrown out to describe Stu, and I think that's positive. You know, Amar Doman recently did an exclusive interview with 3downnation.com, and he was extremely complimentary of Stu. And the way that he described it was, he said, well, the CFL hasn't had any surgery in 20 years, and so when somebody pulls out the scalpel, everybody panics. But in Amar Doman's perception, they are just modernizing something that has needed change for a while, and maybe with that backlog of change that was needed, there's fans who are upset that it feels like it's coming quickly, and in a way it is, but it's partly, at least in his mind, coming quickly because there wasn't enough change happening for the past 2 decades. And I'm with you, BMAC. I do not like the playoff change. I think it's bad optics to have 8 teams in the playoffs. Stuart Johnston has repeatedly said, oh, you know, should you really only get to have to win one playoff game to make the Grey Cup. And I've actually never heard that voiced as a criticism of the CFL, that you can make the Grey Cup only winning one playoff game. What I have heard is criticism repeatedly for 20 years, granted more so when it was an 8-team league than a 9-team league. But I've heard many people criticize this league for just having too many teams in the playoffs. And what the league has done is they've increased that number significantly from 6 to 8. So I don't like the playoff change, but this media rights deal is an absolute grand slam for the CFL. This is why Stuart Johnston, someone who has, of course, a decades-long media background, was hired for the commissionership. This was his pet project. There's arguably nobody in the country more credentialed, in my opinion, to do this kind of deal, to execute this type of arrangement. And I think he did a great job heading it up for the Canadian Football League, not only doing a great job maximizing dollar value, but also bringing a second media partner on board.
The Professor Don Hewitt was on our TV show last week, and one thing that he brought up I thought was kind of interesting was the role of Scott Banda, the chairman of the CFL Board of Governors. You know, that's an important role that doesn't get all the attention. I think it's designed that way intentionally, that the commissioner does. We know that Scott's been involved with a very well-run company, Federated Co-op in Saskatchewan. Have you ever had any intel or any indication as to what his role has been as far as taking over the governorship or the chairmanship, I think in 2023, I want to say, and then not long after that, we've got a new commissioner and all these other changes happening?
I can't speak to Banda's role, and people are usually, especially on the record, extremely hesitant to speak about the details of these types of meetings, because the expectation is that these are closed-door meetings, and though, of course, final decisions will be announced, and the league has been very quick to point out that whether it's these, what they've originally termed rule changes, have since termed structural changes, were unanimously ratified by the Board of Governors. They've been quick to speak to the unanimity of a lot of the approval of these things, but I can't tell you what particular individuals may or may not have pushed for or done. But I also think it is important to keep in mind people like Banda or others who serve in these kind of particularly important roles, but that are under the commissioner. And I'll throw it as a football example. There are some head coaches whose entire careers were, I mean, they deserve credit for what they achieved, but in many cases made by having a brilliant offensive coordinator or a brilliant defensive coordinator or a Hall of Fame quarterback who helped put a lot of lipstick on what might have been, you know, very average systems or things like that. So the commissioner is a lot like the quarterback or the head coach. Sometimes they get credit for things they didn't necessarily do. Sometimes they get blamed for things that they absolutely were not responsible for. But the credit and the blame goes to the figurehead, and the commissionership is a lot like some of the other spots in football.
So riddle me this. You know, I like to blue sky about wild ideas that come out of left field. And one thing that I got to thinking about when we were in the discussion about DAZN stepping in, and I think there's nothing negative about this at all. I don't view it as a seismic shift the way some are framing it. Arash Madani, who will be on in our next hour, I think used that terminology. But I thought in my own mind, you know, the Canadian Football League has always been supported by a very small but loyal fan base. And I'm talking about there's a very small segment of the population that loves the Canadian Football League, but they're fiercely loyal to the Canadian Football League. And a lot of them just want to see the league funded better. They want to see it do well. And I thought about in the past when they tried the Canadian Football Network in the late 1980s, and it lasted for 4 years. And Bob Irving, who you know very well, was one of the main faces on there. Dave Hodge was another. I've explained this to a few people who were just stunned to learn that the CFL had its own network before the NFL had its own network. Now, ultimately, they learned that juggling a TV network was just more than they could chew off, or more than they could, you know, it was just more for them to bite off than they could manage. I look back on that and I sometimes wonder if maybe it wasn't such a bad idea. It was maybe just an idea a little bit ahead of its time, which happens. In today's world, if you were to take that Saturday night slot and say charge every subscriber $250 for the whole year, and decide that you're going to really dress it up. I'm talking like have more camera angles, make it look more like an NFL broadcast. Maybe bring in some of the really premier broadcasters. The TSN broadcasters today do a really good job, but I'm saying maybe there's money you could get Dan Shulman to do a few games or Chris Cuthbert to do a few games. When you look at the amount of season ticket holders in the Canadian Football League, and if you could find that same number of people to pay for this subscription, easy math would say that's $25 million. Do you think that the CFL has an opportunity, maybe someday, obviously not in the next 6 years, but one day where they're offering just pay-per-view games on Saturday nights and relying on the people who love the sport to pay a little extra to get it really well funded?
I mean, Stuart Johnston has repeatedly talked about what he's termed the attention economy, right? Eyeballs is money, and especially young people's eyeballs. And anytime you pay-per-view something or you put it behind a paywall, it's exclusionary, right? And to some extent, much smaller scale, but the league, in a way, recreated the CFN with CFL Plus, its own streaming service the last few years. And they had, I would imagine, had some level of success selling internationally. I don't know what the viewership was for international games, international meaning not Canada or the United States. And I would think that based on the metrics that they got from people signing up for CFL Plus outside of those two key markets, that was some of what allowed DAZN to come on board and say, okay, we're already in millions of homes outside of Canada and the US. Now that we know what type of market there is for people signing up for CFL Plus, for watching games outside the Canada and the US, we can maybe extrapolate what type of audiences we'd want to see. Because if you're a diehard CFL fan living, and I'll just pick a random country, and you're living in Spain, then you're loving CFL Plus. The problem is, to get CFL Plus, you have to already be a CFL fan, right? Your average sports fan who doesn't watch the Canadian Football League, doesn't know what Canadian football is, doesn't know what the Grey Cup is never going to stumble on a CFL Plus. What a product like DAZN can do is take those sports fans and allow them to stumble on Canadian football. Oh, I'm turning on DAZN because soccer starts in an hour, but I'm seeing that there's a Canadian football game that's available. I'll turn it on. I didn't know what this was. Wow, this is quirky. Wow, there's people running around. Oh, wow. And maybe they like the game. So this is an example, I think, of how a product like DAZN that has tremendous international reach could potentially bring new people on. The problem with a self-funded network, be it traditional television or digital, is you're counting on that hardcore group that you're describing, BMAC, which is a group you already have and is going to find you on TSN, is going to find you on DAZN. So I'm not saying it's a terrible idea. And again, in a way,
I won't be offended if you call it a terrible idea. Just be honest.
No, I mean, I think it's interesting. And maybe if once this digital rights deal is up, the league, maybe it's dare I say, a 12-team league. I'm not saying it will be. That's not a prediction. But if they get to 10, I don't see a reason why they couldn't, as long as the infrastructure gets built, get to 11 or dare I say 12. So if you have 6 games a week, that's a little more flexibility. Right now there's 4. I don't think, or sometimes 3. I don't think you want to mess with that too badly.
Yeah, something they'll need a little more inventory before they get that creative. But before we let you go, one thing that I wanted to ask about was ultimately they want to get that 10th franchise and they want to remove a couple of those bye weeks. Have you thought about what will happen in that case? Will that be a situation where they just wipe out the 2 bye weeks and they move the Grey Cup into October? Like, do you think that the long-term plan here is to move that Grey Cup up 2 weeks as well from where they're going to move it? It seemed like for the longest time, the chatter was when we get to a 10th team, we'll move the Grey Cup up to the first Sunday in November. Stu's doing it already anyways. Do you think we're going to end up with a Grey Cup in the 3rd week of October eventually?
It's possible, right? We know teams do not like playing late into the year, right? And anybody who lives on the prairies, like you and I do, BMAC, Now, we've seen nasty weather other parts of the year too, but we know that those late season games where it's -5, right? There's just not as many people in the building. And even if those people are season ticket holders and the club has already collected their money for their season tickets, what you're missing out on is the added revenue you get from beer sales, from concession sales, right? From those types of other things that people will buy and pay for once they're in the building. And those are key game day revenues teams don't want to miss out. So if you can maximize your hot weather games, your warm weather games, when the beverages flow a little bit more freely, when people want to arrive, an hour early and stay 30 minutes late because the weather's so beautiful, right? Those are the people who are buying concessions once or multiple times for food throughout the game, snacks and meals and such. So I think the more good weather you can maximize, the better. Now, I think it should be said, the NFL trying to get to an 18-game regular season, they're at 17 right now, there's chatter that they could go to a second bye week in order to allow more rest for players. And I think if you're the Canadian Football League with an 18-game regular season, going from 3 bye weeks to 1 might be a little extreme. That said, can you knock out 1 week, right? Go from 21 weeks to 20, give everybody 2 bye weeks. I think that'd be great. And it's an easy way to do that. Right now, right, if you have more than one team on a bye week, you have to go to 3 byes and 6 teams playing. In other words, only 3 games. If you get to 10 teams, you can now live in a CFL world where you've got 5 games every week, and then throughout the season, you can give 2 teams a bye and only go to 4. So I think if you have that baseline of 4 games, that's way better, and you can still shorten the season a little bit. So I don't know if we're going to 1 bye or 2 eventually, if and when expansion happens, but certainly I think it would be awesome for everyone involved, the teams, fans, media, to chop the regular season by at least 1 week and have the action flow a little better, enjoy a little bit of better weather, get to the playoffs 1 week earlier, have the weather theoretically be a little better then. And of course, have a Grey Cup 1 week earlier.
Well, if it means fewer domes and less indoor football, I'm all for it. So I think it's a good idea as well. You can read his stuff at www.3downnation.com. John Hodge, thanks as always.
Thanks for having me. Be back anytime.
Okay. Well, I know I took us way over there. Coming up in hour 2, we will check in with Arash Madani. You are listening to the Wednesday Sportscage for RMP on Rider Radio 620 CKRM and watching at sportscage.com.
The Country Music Rewind with Colin Lovequist.
Get ready. We're stepping into our musical time machine and taking you back to 1989. The country music industry was going through an absolute revolution. We'll play the top 25 with 2 hours of the biggest hits with the soundtrack to the summer of '89.
The Country Music Rewind with Colin Lovequist. Brought to you by Crawford's No Frills. Saturday afternoons at 4 and Sunday afternoons at 1 on Country's Greatest Hits. 620 CKRM.
House, cabin, office, home gym. If it has a floor, Flooring Superstore probably has something for it. Need carpet, laminate, hardwood, outdoor synthetic grass, rubber flooring for your gym? Yeah, they pretty much have it all. And if you're a do-it-yourselfer working on a small project, check out their cash and carry department for deeply discounted prices. So whether you're renovating a boardroom or covering that mystery floor in the basement, think Super. Flooring Superstore. Quality floor. Over 20 years serving Regina and area. FlooringSuperstoreRegina.ca.
The summer farm season provides a landscape full of opportunity with Ritchie Brothers. Our sales schedule runs from June 9th through August 12th with 35 exclusive farm auctions spread across Western Canada, bringing you fertile land and quality equipment ripe for the picking. When the fields are at their best, it's time to tap into farm country. Get started today at rbauction.com/agriculture. Once again, that's rbauction.com/agriculture.
The Roughriders season is here and the biggest 50-50 in Saskatchewan is back. Last year's 50-50 raised over $3.3 million for amateur football in Saskatchewan, and we couldn't do it without you. Thank you, Rider Nation. This year, we have bigger loyalty and early bird prizes than ever before, not to mention those life-changing 50-50 jackpots. See all of the prizes and buy your tickets today at riders5050.ca, and never miss a chance to win when you sign up for the 50-50 Club.
Riders 50-50 is presented by ISC.
Lottery license LR260010.
Ugh, the guys at Coffee Row all had different hail plans.
Yeah, some say loyalty matters, some say read the fine print. Palliser. You ever ask around? No. Yeah, that's simpler.
What else is there to talk about? Palliser Insurance. Call your trusted agent today or buy online at your convenience. Visit palliserinsurance.com. Anywhere, anytime.
It's time for the Sports Ticker, brought to you by Reliance Heath Water Heater Rentals. Rent a water heater and water softener starting at about $1.20 a day and get $400 when you switch to Reliance Heath.
Well, we were talking with Dante to Caria a little bit earlier about the Regina Red Sox. They are in action tonight. They are on the road facing the Weyburn Beavers at Tom Lang Park. That's a 7:05 opening pitch. Other games around the WCBL tonight. The Moose Jaw Miller Express are on the road in Swift Current. Out west, it is the Okotoks Dogs at home to the Brooks Bombers. And the Lethbridge Bulls are on the road to face the Fort McMurray Giants. The Saskatoon Berries are facing the Medicine Hat Mavericks. That's a game in Saskatoon. And the Energy City Cactus Rats are at home against the Sylvan Lake Gulls. That's the action in the WCBL on this Wednesday. Sports Ticker for Reliance Heath Water Heater Rentals, keeping you in hot and soft water. Call on Reliance. Coming up in hour 2, we will check in with Arash Madani. News is next.
We are 620 CKRM, a Harvard media station. Streaming online at 620ckrm.com.
News is brought to you by Bronco Plumbing and Heating, where professional service is guaranteed. They'll treat you right. Call 781-2090.
It's 4 p.m. Good afternoon. Mostly cloudy and 19 degrees in Regina. I'm Denis Conroy from the SAS Today newsroom with 620 CKRM News. Environment Canada says conditions today could support the development of funnel clouds across southern Saskatchewan. Weak thunderstorms are expected this afternoon as low-pressure system moves through the region. Most funnel clouds linked to these storms are not dangerous near the ground, but some could strengthen into weak landspout tornadoes. Residents are urged to take any funnel cloud sightings seriously, be prepared to seek shelter, and continue monitoring weather alerts and forecasts. A major Saskatchewan health charity has reached a historic milestone. The Royal University Hospital Foundation says it has now raised more than $200 million since its launch in 1983, supporting 4 decades of medical innovation and patient care in Saskatoon. The foundation says donor funding has helped advance research, equipment, and treatment across multiple specialties, including cancer, cardiology, and neurology. Leaders credit community generosity for strengthening Royal University Hospital's role as a leading center for complex and life-saving care. Sturgeon Lake First Nation has approved a resolution to begin formal discussions with the Saskatchewan Marshals Service about providing on-reserve support alongside the RCMP. The resolution was passed Monday and includes plans to work towards a memorandum of understanding. Chief Christine Longjohn says the goal is to improve safety and address issues such as drugs, theft, trespassing, and violence. The proposed agreement would establish a framework for future cooperation focused on community safety, security, and member well-being. Regina police continue searching for a missing woman and have expanded efforts into the city's northwest area. Officers asked Regina Fire and Protective Services to help search Lakewood Lake on Tuesday and are asking residents to avoid the area. Police are also focusing on land north of Dalgleish Drive and west of McIntosh Street. 35-year-old Camille Hilderman, also known as Dee Dee, was last seen in Wolseley on June 5th. Anyone with information is asked to contact police. A new accessible playground is taking shape at a Regina Elementary School. Ground was broken on Tuesday at Ecole Wilfred Walker Community School on a $300,000 playground designed to help children of all abilities play together. The project will feature adaptive swings, a wheelchair-accessible rocker, musical playstations, and other inclusive equipment. 7-year-old student Blake Turnbull, who uses a wheelchair, says she's excited to enjoy the playground with her friends when construction wraps up later this summer. That's 620 CKRM News. Read more stories from around your community and around the province at sasktoday.ca and 620ckrm.com.
When summer heat hits, there's nothing worse than an air conditioner that can't keep up. Stay cool, comfortable, and ready for those hot Saskatchewan days with a new Bryant air conditioner from Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Bryant systems are built for reliable performance, energy efficiency, and lasting comfort, so you can keep your home cool all summer long. Call Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling today for more information or visit broncoplumbing.com. Bryant, whatever it takes.
Weather for next-gen coatings, spray coatings for truck bed liners, rocker panels, and more. Same company, new name. 1865 McCarra Street, Regina.
For the remainder of today, spotty showers and thunderstorms up to a high of 19 degrees. Very light wind out of the north-northwest. Tonight, isolated showers, overnight low down to 9 degrees. For Thursday, spotty showers and isolated thunderstorms, a high of 16. Thursday night, mainly cloudy, overnight low down to 6. Friday, cloudy, isolated showers, a high of 15. For Saturday, mostly sunny, once again a high of 15. And for Sunday, partly to mostly sunny and warming up with a high of 18 degrees Celsius. Right now in downtown Regina at the corner of 11th and Rose, it is 16 Celsius.
For over 40 years, you've known them as Regina's trusted vehicle protection specialists. Now they're introducing the next gen of coatings. New name, new level of protection. They're now next gen coatings. 3 generations of their family have served your family, and that hasn't changed. Same owners, same commitment, ready for the next gen of truck beds, rocker panels, trailers, bumpers, and running boards. The company hasn't changed, just the name. Next Gen Coatings, 1865 McCarra Street. The next gen starts now.
Broadcasting from Century Studios in downtown Regina, Harvard Media presents The Sportscage, where Saskatchewan comes to talk local sports. Brought to you by Regina Motor Products. RMP summer offer on now until August 31st. Receive a $25 SOE gift card with purchase of a vehicle health check and oil change package. Visit RMP today. Be part of the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262. The Sports Cage. Streaming at sportscage.com, our YouTube channel, and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
Brendan McGuire and Curtis Gammon with you on this Wednesday Sports Cage, and you can always chime in on the discussion on the Prairie Land text line, 306-936-6262. Prairie Land rentals and sales since 1986 for big or small jobs. Stop in and deal with the owner, 600 Albert Street. Snowblowers, skid steers, power sources, moving equipment. And all guests like Dante Caria and John Hodge appearing on the Western Pizza Hotline, the Greek-style pizza that has become famous around the world, plus all the Greek and Canadian food you can't get enough of. Western Pizza, the local legend. Still ahead on this edition of the program, we will hear a little bit more from the Saskatchewan Roughriders and also check in with the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame about a cool event happening tomorrow night on Thursday. You won't want to miss that. Okay, Arash is here.
It's time to go coast to coast with Arash Madani for Smart Investing Solutions. Be smart with your money. Call Brian Gawley at Smart Investing Solutions, 546-2533.
Hey, I wanted to ask you, I know when you, I just thought of this like a minute ago, when you worked with the Ottawa Renegades, didn't you?
I did. 2 glorious seasons, the last 2.
Well, when I collect jerseys, I try to get stuff that nobody else on earth has. I have no interest in a Tom Brady jersey or a Brett Favre jersey or any of that garbage because there's millions of them. So today I strapped on a classic Lonnie Gleiberman era Ottawa Roughriders uni with the flaming R's of the very early 90s and silver, and it was signed by Tom Burgess. Yeah, he threw for 5,000 yards in 93. I've got the 92 version. They made the Canada 125 patch a little bit small, but I can work on that a little bit later. I think it's an absolute tragedy that logo only lasted 2 years. Of all the things the Gleibermans screwed up royally, that was not one of them. I thought that was pretty cool, but I digress. About the The Blue Jays. I know that, 3 weeks ago, there was a lot of optimism with their starting rotation, and I was hearing chatter that Shane Bieber would take a little while to get going, but the rest were all good to go. Now, what do we make of it?
Oh, Brendan, they're going to be fine. And they're going to be fine in large part because everybody in the American League's dreadful. I can't remember a time where the Tampa Rays are, perennial October team. I'll try that in English. And they're 15 games above 500. The Yankees are 15 games above 500. But guess what? They're going to be without Aaron Judge for at least the next 8 weeks. I know they've won a couple of games without him. The Blue Jays aren't very good right now, but they're on their way to getting healthy, and they're going to be fine. An AL that has nobody in the American League Central worth a salt. Like when the White Sox are leading your division, that tells you all you need to know. And, we'll see what the Mariners are going to be. By September, the Blue Jays will be in the mix. And then where will they be post-trade deadline, injuries, health, all that stuff, that remains to be seen. But they're going to get Scherzer back. They're getting Bieber back. They're getting Cease back. It's been a pitching staff that they've just been patching things together. They're actually going to start to get some competence and an actual starting rotation, which is what they need.
At what stage, I'll throw this one at you, at what stage do you think that if they're still having trouble patching the starting rotation together, would they go out and make a move now that we're past 60 days into the season?
Well, the trade deadline's basically 6-7 weeks away.
Isn't that crazy to think? I feel like the season just started and we're that close to the trade deadline already.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, it started the end of March, just nobody was paying attention with all the Canadian teams doing what they were doing in the playoffs and the rest. Let me bring up the standings here. So they're 2 games below 500, right? You're saying to yourself, well, that's a problem. That used to be what baseball was. They sit right now 3 games back. Sorry, they're in a wild card spot right now. They're fine. So the fact that they're getting Cease back from what appeared to be a low-grade hamstring issue is huge. I'm not sure what Shane Bieber is going to be for them, but we'll see. But if you have moving forward a healthy and a competent Kevin Gausman, a healthy and a competent Trey Savage, you get Dylan Cease back into the mix, and then combine Bieber and Scherzer. If they can combine to be one competent human, you suddenly have 4 starting pitchers. You're in pretty good shape.
All right, enough of all that Blue Jay nonsense. We've had lots of baseball talk today. You're somebody who's very much into Canadian sport, and there was a big bit of news that came out yesterday that you wanted to mention that has a hook to the Olympics and youth sports and all the rest. No, whoops, I'm on the wrong one here. I was gonna bring up the I want to ask football? You. Yeah, well, and before we get to that, I wanted to ask you about the World Cup games that are coming up. I had a friend who won tickets to a game in Vancouver, Canada versus Qatar, and people around here don't care that much about the World Cup. I haven't really paid a lot of attention to it yet. Are you excited about any of these matchups that are coming on Canadian soil? Like, I have to think even those of us non-soccer fans have to be excited about it.
Here's what's going to happen. I was talking to Dave about this yesterday. This thing's going to start, and it's almost going to be like the Olympics. We're all going to turn into ice dancing experts. I remember having this very conversation on this very station 7 years ago last week, or 2 weeks ago, that nobody cares about the Raptors. That's Toronto's team. Whatever. Okay, so Kawhi hits this shot, blah, blah, blah. The next thing I know, that's in May of 2019. The next thing I know, I'm getting pictures sent to me of like 15,000 people at Mosaic Stadium watching the Raptors in the championship game up on the Jumbotron. it's a wild thing that happens with these kind of events, Brendan, that no one's paying attention and no one seems to care. And then it starts. And then it starts and it gains a little momentum and it takes on a life of its own and you're waving the flag and there's the Canadiana aspect to it. But all of this hinges on the national team taking care of its business and making sure they don't blow it. So that's a big part of all of this here. They open on Friday against Bosnia, then they go to Vancouver, they play Qatar on the 18th of June, and then Switzerland on the 24th. They need to get out of the group stage. They should get out of the group stage. All of those things. So while people aren't into it now, I promise you they're going to get into it if Canada's team delivers.
Are we worried about three critical Canadian players with question marks, Cone and also Moise, Bombito, and Alphonso Davies?
Yeah, so like Davies is the best left back in the world. He's the captain of the national team. He just helped Bayern Munich lift a Champions League trophy, which is the championship of Europe. And he's had an ACL and a couple of hamstring issues, and I don't expect he's going to play on Friday. That's going to be a loss. Today, Kone went out, like he arrived at the practice facility and he left, and Christian Jacka One Soccer is reporting that it's just a fever. And then Bombito, who's really emerged as a real threat, he broke his left tibia last fall, and the question is, will he be ready? Will he not? Can he play? Can he not? He played in Edmonton against Uzbekistan for 30 minutes, then limped off the field. So those are three critical pieces to this team. And, you know, if you have them healthy, it's a game changer. It just doesn't appear that the Canadian team will have them.
What are you expecting for the opening match on Friday against Bosnia? How do you like Canada's chances?
Well, Bosnia is an interesting story because they only qualified for this thing in April. You know, it was a last-ditch backdoor qualification. It was going to be them or Italy. They come in, they have some injuries themselves. Brendan, it's going to be, like, my foreshadowing of this is the walk to the stadium for both supporters is actually going to be a news story. The Bosnian Ultras are their own ball of wax, man. They're playing their own march. I just hope no Canadian says the wrong thing to one of these Ultras, because then things may get a little spicy.
You think that could happen?
Oh, yeah.
Does that happen a lot in soccer?
It can. Hell yeah. Of course.
All right.
Oh, yeah. This is real stuff. I'll tell you this story, Brendan. So 2013, I was fortunate enough to be sent to Belgrade, Serbia. Canada is playing Serbia in the Davis Cup semifinal, the World Cup of Tennis. So we're in downtown Belgrade, really nice hotel. We're staying at the same place as the team. Well, down the street, we arrived on a Sunday. We were staying there for 8 days. On like the Wednesday, Croatia was playing Serbia in a Euro Cup qualifier. The Croatian team was staying at the same hotel. When we arrived on Tuesday and Wednesday to the hotel, it was full airport security, wanding you down. Your bags went through the x-ray machine, everything. They did not allow fans in the stadium for Croatia versus Serbia on a Wednesday in September because they were afraid of what might happen. So
Wow.
all this stuff that you see and hear, it's not just like, it's real stuff. Like, this is religion. This matters more than a lot of things matter to a lot of people in a lot of places in the world.
Sometimes we don't totally understand that because we're different from a lot of the rest of the world. We're not so hyper-focused on soccer like some of these other countries are.
Yeah.
Hey, getting back to the Blue Jays, John Schneider shuffled the lineup yesterday, and all of a sudden Vladimir Guerrero was batting leadoff. What do you make of that?
I think they're just trying to get Vlad going, you know, and that's a big part of all this. Now he's back in the 2-hole today. Guerrero told them, look, I'm willing to do whatever you guys think is required for me to do it. And so, they shuffled the deck a little bit, and Schneider's point was, why not? Now, today, George Springer's back batting lead up. It's over the course of 162, these are the things that are going to happen, but they're especially going to happen when Vlad's not doing Vlad things. Like an OPS of 740, only 3 home runs so far. Like they're trying anything and everything to get Guerrero back to being 2-7.
One stat that I've seen you've posted, Vlad's isolated power of 085 ranks 14th on the Blue Jays behind Miles Straw and just ahead of Tyler Heineman. Speaking of Heineman, Alejandro Kirk is going to be back soon. Brandon Valenzuela is really going. He had his first career walk-off yesterday. What do the Blue Jays do with their backup catcher when Kirk returns? Could they carry 3 catchers?
No. And now this becomes... Will the Blue Jays Blue Jay, or will the Blue Jays do the right thing? Because the right thing to do is keep Valenzuela up. Valenzuela is more competent. Valenzuela is the better hitter. Valenzuela manages situations better. And you mentioned the walk-off yesterday. He's showing a little clutch, too. Tyler Heineman is just not a big leaguer. But he's out of options and team control, and the air quote, we're afraid to lose him. Fine, lose him. He's airmailing balls over the third baseman's head. They don't have any trust in him. It's okay to lose Tyler Heineman. Go with the kid. I don't think they're going to do that, Brendan, but to me, that's the right thing to do.
It's kind of makes me think of Josh Tolley when he was the catcher. He really shouldn't be in the big leagues, but they felt like R.A. Dickey needed somebody who could catch him, and I felt like it kind of held him back in some ways. Talking a little more CFL, Danny Machocha went on Montreal radio yesterday, and he says he feels Quebec City is a strong CFL market. We've talked about this ad nauseum, but what do you think? Do you think a 10th team could really be headed there? Do you think this is real?
I don't know if a 10th team is headed there. But it was interesting hearing Danny's perspective on it with Mitch Melnick. Because to me, I've always believed, Brendan, that Quebec City, the power brokers in that town, had no interest in the CFL. But if you follow some of the influential voices in that market, they're reporting that for the last year, there's been real interest in building a $350 million stadium, in getting a team up there where La Colisée used to be, where the Nordiques used to play. And Danny's point was, yeah, I think if it's done properly, if it's done right, this can work. And he pointed to the fact that Laval draws 20,000 people for football, that their major junior team does 14,000, 15,000 for hockey. That shoot, they have a independent league baseball team that draws 4,000 or 5,000 people. A rivalry with the Alouettes would be huge. All of this is, to me, hinges on 3 things. 1, the blessing of the Alouettes in ownership, which appears as if it's there. 2, will there be a new stadium? They say $350 million. That's a $450 million question. And 3 are the business power brokers in that city interested, willing to buy suites, to pay the corporate sponsorship dollars to make this happen? Stuart Johnson has talked about a 10th team around 2030. 4 years out, that kind of lines up if all these things are able to come together. And the fact that it's gained this much noise makes it the most real and the most intriguing that I can ever remember Quebec City really being about having a CFL franchise.
You know, I hadn't even thought of this until recently, but I think the guy you're talking about, the power brokers, and I don't know a lot about who runs football in Quebec, but I do know that there's a fellow by the name of Mr. Alex Tanguay, who's kind of the leader behind the Laval football program for the last 30 years. And he did an interview a few years ago where he just said, there's no interest for a CFL team here. And then you were here last year for the Vanier Cup. The year before, he would have come here for the Mitchell Bowl, Laval versus Regina. And now he's singing a totally different tune and talking about how great it would be to have a nice stadium. And wow, you go out west in a place like Regina, it's really nice. And I'm kind of wondering in my mind how much of an impact the fact that Rouge et Or came here to play the Rams had on him and pushing the Quebec business community. Now, that is all total speculation on my part, but it just seems like his tone has changed quite dramatically, and we're starting to feel like there's probably a better than 50% chance, at least I am, that this will get done at some point. There's been a lot of chatter about the CFL contract and what's going to be important with DAZN, the new broadcast partner. To me, I just want to see them do a very different broadcast than TSN does. I feel like the TSN broadcast feels a little bit stale at times, and that is not at all to besmirch them. I think they do a good job. I just think it's inevitable if you have one network and one group of people for so long, eventually you lack a little bit of creativity. I like it when you have multiple different sets and multiple different personalities. But to you, what is going to be the most important thing with DAZN to make this work and be a success for everybody?
Yeah, I think storytelling is going to be so important. Features, get to know some of these players, bring a Thursday night football element to it. DAZN doesn't have studios, Brendan. So will the panel just be a traveling roadshow every week? I think bringing a younger, fresher panel of former players is going to be really important. People who have recently left the field, so they have much more of an idea, not just of what they're up against, but what's happening out there. But I just really believe there's going to be more bells and whistles and sizzle to all of this, and storytelling's at the heart of it, and not just doing the same thing again and again, like not just like a fresh coat of paint, but a total remodel of what this thing has been.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And one thing I was even a little bit disappointed with is when Bell Media announced that some games were going to be on CTV, and the length of how the broadcast looked different was in the opening. They showed the graphics and they laughed that this was the first time in 38 years that it was going to be on CTV. And that was it. They didn't have any theme song, no different graphics. They didn't even have fun with the old jackets. And sometimes I think sports is never meant to be serious. You're supposed to have a little bit of fun with that. And we're seeing NBC and some of the other networks use Bob Costas to go retro. I love retro. Not everybody does, but I think the point you're making is we just need to see a little more creativity that you would see if you had multiple different networks. I remember the network you used to work for, Sportsnet, did the first ever Banjo Bowl in Winnipeg. It was done by Jamie Campbell. Hardly anybody remembers that Jamie Campbell did a handful of CFL games, and he's a great broadcaster anyways. It was just cool to see different faces, hear different voices, and I think that's essentially the point you're making.
Yeah, and look, we've only known things really one way for how long now? 18 years now? I'm pumped to see what an entirely different perspective this entire thing is going to be.
Totally. We'll leave it at that. Arash, thank you as always. Next time I'm on, I'll find an Ottawa Renegades jersey that I can wear.
I love it. I'll have a story about that player, I'm sure.
I look forward to it. That is Coast to Coast with Arash Madani for Smart Investing Solutions. Be smart with your money. Call Brian Gully at Smart Investing Solutions, 546-2533. We'll be back with more of Hour 2 on the Wednesday Sportscage for RMP on Rider Radio 620 CKRM and watching at sportscage.com.
Rider Nation lives on 620 CKRM. I'm Dave Thomas, voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Saturday is game day as the Riders take on the BC Lions. Countdown to kickoff with Tegan Whitco and Wes Cates is at 2. The pregame show's at 4. And kickoff with Luke Mullender and I is at 5. Saskatchewan Roughrider football on the Cooperators Rider Broadcast Network is brought to you by Sask Lotteries, Agco Corporation, Bayer Crop Science, Quality Tire, and Sask Energy. Stream every moment of Rider football at Sportscage sportscage.com.
Erectile dysfunction is a common medical condition, often associated with reduced blood flow, and it can affect both physical and emotional well-being. At Revive, a physician-led clinic, men receive confidential assessment and evidence-informed treatment options. Treatments may include low-intensity shockwave therapy and other non-surgical approaches where appropriate. The goal is to evaluate contributing factors and determine whether treatment may help improve erectile function and sexual health. To learn more or schedule a private consultation, visit revivemd.com.
We asked Gordon how he started investing with Brian Gawley at Smart Investing Solutions.
We phoned him and met with him, and we went through different options, what was going to work for us, and it's been good ever since. Overall, he's done very well for our investment.
Don't guess with your money. Call Brian at 306-546-2533. SmartInvestingSolutions.ca.
You know that Extreme Hockey and Sport has everything you need for hockey, but warmer weather has them thinking baseball. Be all set for the ball diamond with team kits, bats, gloves, accessories, and training products all in stock. And let's not forget about lacrosse. Don't let spring throw you a curveball. Be ready with Extreme Hockey and Sport, locally owned, community focused, 1425 McIntyre Street at the Cooperator Center, now in Moose Jaw, and online at extremehockey.net.
The summer farm season provides a landscape full of opportunity with Ritchie Brothers. Our sales schedule runs from June 9th through August 12th, with 35 exclusive farm auctions spread across Western Canada, bringing you fertile land and quality equipment ripe for the picking. When the fields are at their best, it's time to tap into farm country. Get started today at rbauction.com/agriculture. Once again, that's rbauction.com/agriculture.
The Sports Cage Clutch Performer for Keln Solar. Thinking about saving money by using solar power? Keln Solar is a local family company that can put solar panels on your home, business, or farm. KelnSolar.com.
Well, time for the Sports Cage Clutch Performer. And, we don't have the Rider season started just yet. I know I've done a lot of TV shows about the Rider season, and there's so much to talk about, and yet it's like, oh my goodness, we're almost going in circles. We haven't even had a real game to talk about yet. Curtis, you had mentioned that they now have the uniform schedule out for the Roughriders for the season. Is that right?
I just saw it on social media. It just came out like 5 minutes ago on Twitter. So it says they got their home uniform schedule here, and for that week 4, like the away game where Toronto's coming and playing here, they're doing Prairie Blizzard uniforms. I'm gonna see if I can get a picture here. But
okay, and so those will look different than what they've been using. Like we're expecting a rollout of something they have not yet worn before.
That's what I'm thinking here. So
I actually kind of like the way they've been rolling out the uniforms so far this season. Like the BC Lions, they have the Pacific Frost unis, which I think look really dope. And they rolled that out just a few days ago. They're going to wear them on Saturday in Regina, and I think it's always fun when we have a surprise, you're just showing it here online. I think that looks really, really good. I actually think the league has done a good job of their branding in recent years, and if I'm going to be really picky and critical, I think if there are a couple of teams that could maybe roll out a new permanent look, I often think of the team that plays really close to the stadium, the Saskatchewan Roughriders. The home unis, I think, are just a little bit busy with all the piping, but I love the Obsidian. I think they've gone over very, very well, and if they wanted to do a refresh of their home and away and maybe just clean it up a little bit, and I'm saying that to be totally objective here, and I know that it's something that's very selective. And another squad that I think could clean theirs up a little bit would be Ottawa. I still think Ottawa could clean theirs up to be a little more, a little less busy with all the striping and the piping. Who in the Rider office put that out? Do we have a name for the new home uniforms?
I don't have a media presser for this one. This one just came out on social media.
Okay, all right.
But it does, I think they're just teasing it right now. So they haven't actually shown what it's going to look like yet, but they're teasing a new kind of away prairie white uniform.
Okay, so that'll be for the away. Okay, and it'll be a away game while they're playing here. It took me a while to really understand that. I was thinking, so they are going to wear their away jerseys while they're playing here.
Because that's technically Toronto's home game.
It gets really confusing, but it's not that confusing. We didn't have to have the preseason game. They put that in Saskatoon. So season ticket holders bought 10 games, and it'll actually be 10 regular season home games. I was really, really critical of the Argonauts for doing it that way. The BC Lions are doing it differently because they're playing their games at the Apple Bowl in Kelowna. And a lot of people said, the Argos should be sniffing around trying to find out a better way to build a fan base in Southern Ontario. But the team president says, it's going to be better because we got paid out well by moving the game to Regina. We're going to use those resources instead of spending them on to market 9 home games. We're going to spend them on 6 home games so they can spend more on each game. We'll see if it does anything. Probably not. Anyways, clutch performer Brady Bai, who's off to a great start for the Regina Red Sox, and Dante Caria, you heard in hour 1, mentioning that he thinks that he's probably exceeded his development and what he's going to get out of this league. But because he is a local guy and he likes to come home for the summers, we're very, very lucky to have him here performing and entertaining us in the summers with the Regina Red Sox. And for no other reason, I'm going to go with Brady Bai as our Sportscage clutch performer for Keln Solar. 35 years of experience moving water from a dugout or well without electricity. Visit kelnsolar.com to find out more for your livestock operation and installing solar in residential and commercial buildings for 35 years. Local and trusted. Keln Solar. Visit kelnsolar.com. Still ahead in hour 3, we will check in with the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame, and we still have Sprinkle of the Day for Sports Select. You are listening to the Sports Cage on 620 CKRM or watching at sportscage.com.
It's time to look ahead and plan on getting financially fit. If you're looking to open an RRSP or a TFSA, maximize an existing account, or update your investment mix, Cooperators can provide the personalized advice and service you need. Ready to start off your financial journey on the right foot? Contact your local advisor to build a plan that works for you. Cooperators, investing in your future together.
Winter in Saskatchewan tests everything, our patience, vehicles, and sometimes our bumpers. From icy parking lot dings to serious highway mishaps, choosing local matters. At Regina Motor Products Collision Center, we're Saskatchewan owned, run, and we drive these roads too. An SGI accredited full-service collision center working on all makes and models. Submit your SGI claim and book your appraisal. It's easy. When you need repairs you can trust, it's neighbors helping neighbors. Regina Motor Products Collision Center, south at Highways 1 and 6 Albert Street, rmpchevrolet.com.
The Roughriders season is here and the biggest 50-50 in Saskatchewan is back. Last year's 50-50 raised over $3.3 million for amateur football in Saskatchewan, and we couldn't do it without you. Thank you, Rider Nation. This year, we have bigger loyalty and early bird prizes than ever before, not to mention those life-changing 50-50 jackpots. See all of the prizes and buy your tickets today at riders5050.ca, and never miss a chance to win when you sign up for the 50-50 Club.
Riders 50-50 is presented by ISC.
Lottery license LR260010.
Get it hot and get it fast, Western Pizza.
You just played 4 quarters of football. You got hit by guys built like farm equipment. And now you're thinking about a little celery stick and a protein shake? Come on, this is a job for Western Pizza. Load up with pepperoni, ham, bacon, melty cheese, maybe some ribs, lasagna, or souvlaki on the side. You put in the work, now eat like you mean it.
And get it hot and get it fast, Western Pizza.
Back to Sportscage. Text 306-936-6262. 620 CKRM.
Time for the Sports Select Sprinkle of the Day. Brendan McGuire and Curtis Gammon with you on this Wednesday edition of the program. We'll check in with the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame in hour 3. But first, we want to do the Sprinkle of the Day. And something that's been on my mind is a little basketball. The Toronto Tempo are playing tonight. Did you know that, Curtis?
No. I did not know that.
I love their branding. I think because it looks like something that they could have pulled right out of the 1980s. Did you know that the Cleveland Cavaliers had an owner who wanted to move them to Toronto, and he was going to nickname them the Toronto Towers? And I've seen some mock-up drawings for that. I thought that would be a really cool name, and it's too bad that never came to fruition. Nothing against the Raptors, but anywho, I digress. For the sprinkle of the day, I wanted to go with Game 4 of the NBA Finals, the San Antonio Spurs at the New York Knicks. Apparently, the President of the United States has decided to not attend this game. Took away a little bit of the thunder in Game 3 from the athletes, and the Knicks fans didn't seem too impressed, at least if you're going to believe the clips on social media of him being booed, and didn't seem to bring the Knicks very much luck either. So they're hoping that now that he will not be in the stands, they'll have a little more luck in pulling off a victory against the San Antonio Spurs. Mm-hmm. I've been rolling, whenever I've been filling in on the Sportscage, with the over-unders on different events. And boy, I saw those two teams exchange points really quickly. And the over is 216.5. Sorry, that's the over-under. So 216.5 points combined for both teams. 217 would be over, 216 would be under. I have to think that these two high-powered offenses can do better than that, and I'm going to pick the over and lock in my selection with that one.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. I would definitely hit the over. And then the spread here, it's set at 2.5.
That's a tight finish, as it should be. These are two very evenly matched teams. I think people were a little surprised that the Knicks did so well in games 1 and 2. And it's been a road warrior series so far. Nobody has won at home just yet. And I don't think that whether the president's there or not there has as much impact as maybe some fans like to believe. So I don't think that the Knicks are magically going to stomp all over the Spurs just because the sideshow is not there anymore.
He was taking a nap anyways when he was at the game.
Wasn't a very exciting game for him, or what's his name? The Knicks owner looks like he's having a hard time staying awake too. So that could be part of the problem. And
the last thing here is the pro line. So looks like it's 2.15 for New York, and then it's 2.95 for San Antonio. So, and then the tie here is set at 2.65.
So you wanting me to make a selection? Is that what you're trying to say? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I would take the Spurs, I think, on the pro line. I think the Spurs will win, and I think they will cover. I'm going to pick San Antonio for that.
Nice. There you go.
And I'll take the Spurs right across the board. The visitor for the point spread and for the victory. I think they're going to even up the series, send it back to San Antonio, and make it a brand new series overall. The people who know things about basketball, and I am not one of them, tell me that the Spurs are a better team. They're just a little bit raw and green with such a young leader, Wembanyama. Mm-hmm. And they are apples that are green that have just not quite fully turned red yet. When they turn red, look out. It's actually eerily similar to an NBA Finals, one of the first that I ever saw in lockout shortened season of 1999. It was the Spurs and the Knicks, and a young Tim Duncan was in year number 2 with David Robinson going against the Knicks and beat them. You wonder if this could kickstart another dynasty like that one did, because the Spurs went on to win 5 championships over the next 16 seasons, and the Knicks are still looking for their first title since 1973. That is your sprinkle of the day for Sports Select, and remember, they are local. All of the proceeds made stay in Saskatchewan. Still ahead on this edition of the program, we will listen to more of Dave Thomas and the Saskatchewan Roughriders. You are listening to the Sports Cage on Rider Radio 620 CKRM and watching at sportscage.com.
The Country Music Rewind with Colin Lovequist.
Get ready. We're stepping into our musical time machine and taking you back to 1989. The country music industry was going through an absolute revolution. We'll play the top 25 with 2 hours of the biggest hits with the soundtrack to the summer of '89.
The Country Music Rewind with Colin Lovequist. Brought to you by Crawford's No Frills. Saturday afternoons at 4 and Sunday afternoons at 1 on Country's Greatest Hits. 620 CKRM.
The Roughriders season is here and the biggest 50-50 in Saskatchewan is back. Last year's 50-50 raised over $3.3 million for amateur football in Saskatchewan, and we couldn't do it without you. Thank you, Rider Nation. This year, we have bigger loyalty and early bird prizes than ever before, not to mention those life-changing 50-50 jackpots. See all of the prizes and buy your tickets today at riders5050.ca, and never miss a chance to win when you sign up for the 50-50 Club.
Riders 50-50 is presented by ISC.
Lottery license LR260010.
Spring's finally here.
Spring in Regina? I'll believe it when I'm sitting on a patio.
Then let's get to Pump Jacks. Patio's open.
Open now?
Yep, Sunday brunch, daily food, and drink specials.
Hold on, brunch and a patio?
And weekly live entertainment.
All right, that's not spring. That's a lifestyle.
On the corner of Albert and 13th, Pump Jack's Cathedral Saloon and Steakhouse. Come early, stay late. The place where friends meet.
You know that Extreme Hockey and Sport has everything you need for hockey, but warmer weather has them thinking baseball. Be all set for the ball diamond with team kits, bats, gloves, accessories, and training products all in stock. And let's not forget about lacrosse. Don't let spring throw you a curveball. Be ready with Extreme Hockey and Sport, locally owned, community focused, 1425 McIntyre Street at the Cooperator Center, now in Moose Jaw, and online at extremehockey.net.
It's time for the Sports Ticker, brought to you by Extreme Hockey and Sport is the home of the price match guarantee. 1425 McIntyre Street, the Cooperator Center, Moose Jaw Temple Garden Center, and online at extremehockey.net.
Well, the Regina Red Sox back at it tonight on the road, facing the Weyburn Beavers at Tom Lang Park. That'll be a 7:05 opening pitch tonight as the Sox hit the highway, one of a handful of games around the WCBL on this Wednesday night. The Toronto Blue Jays back at it today as well, facing the Philadelphia Phillies, and that game set to get underway shortly. And the Blue Jays, 2 games under the 500 mark, trying to creep a little bit closer. We heard from Arash Madani a little bit earlier, and he thinks that they're going to be just fine and not expecting any major moves, at least in the foreseeable future. Sports Ticker for Extreme Hockey and Sport. Whatever your spring sport is, Extreme Hockey has you covered.
Good job.
I made it through.
There you go. So I think we wanted to go to a little bit of rider audio today.
From earlier today?
Yes.
Well,
Dave had a chance to do some catching up at practice.
Well, I know a big topic of conversation. Well, first of all, before we get to the D-line, we'll talk about wearing the pads in practice, because that's something that teams are doing less and less of, and they've really clamped down in recent years about how often you can do that. Once training camp is done, there are heavy restrictions so that players don't get the crap beat out of them. And Coach Mace had a few comments about that earlier today as they wore the pads in practice.
We just haven't put pads on for a long time, it feels like, since we had our preseason game, our last one so long ago. Just let's make sure we're still familiar with what that feels like, but you get 12 of those a year. I think it'll be pretty regular for us.
That's it, hey? That's crazy. So that, but if you do it once a week almost, there's a third of the games where you can't do it at all. And then you've got 12 other games where I guess you could do one practice a week. So it's probably not that bad. But when I first started following the CFL, they had gone from 16 games to 18 games. And they had gone from 4 preseason games to 2 preseason games. And there was always a lot of whining and grumbling that there was a lot of sloppy football for the first 2 or 3 weeks. And so I've long wondered if maybe it would be better if we just had fewer games instead of clamping down on practices and when you can wear pads, because some coaches, the late Dan Durazio was a really good offensive line coach. He never coached here, but he did all over the league. A lot of time in BC. Some say he was the best O-line coach ever. And he complained that it really brought the level of play down, that they couldn't do more practices in the pads learning the technique. So there's always 2 sides of every story. For the most part, players and coaches don't make a big deal of it and just accept it as the new reality that we all live in. Whenever I talk with people about what's different about this year's Rough Rider squad compared to last year, even the year before, it's the defensive line. So many players left in the offseason. Micah Johnson retiring, Malik Carney going over to Edmonton, Habakkuk Baldonado, who was actually a nice find through that global program. I've never had much to say about that global program, but apparently he's a pretty good player. He might be the best global out there. So they've had to make a lot of changes along the defensive line, and I often felt like that was going to test Coach Mace because he had such a good relationship with all of those players. So inevitably, he was going to have to deal with the reality of them getting older and him having to phase them out. And that's going to test their relationship, or getting new players that he really doesn't have any connection to as a former assistant coach or as a former teammate like he has with some of them. Desmond Evans is one of those players to watch, and we heard some comments. Coach Mace had some comments about him earlier today as well.
I don't know. He's a big human being. You know, I don't think we've had some of his stature here since our time being here, so you know, I'll lean on that, but my favorite part is he's constantly getting better each day. So when he puts it all and pieces it all together, and I hope that's not anytime soon. I hope it just trends better every week throughout the year. Boy, that's gonna be special.
And earlier today, I know Dave Thomas had a chance to sit down in conversation with Desmond Evans about the season opener coming up on Saturday.
Desmond Evans, I want to get, first of all, your impressions of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. You've battled through training camp. You've made it back to this stadium. Tell me what your impressions are.
My impressions, with just coming in, making the team, learning what I had to do, and being a listener, you know what I'm saying? Because it's a lot of older guys around here, so I just got to do my job and listen from them, and they're going to take it away.
One of the greatest compliments I think a player can be given is that they are starting to look more comfortable every day. Your coaches have alluded to that. How do you feel that?
I feel very confident right now. Taking a year off the ball really kind of hurt me, but getting back into it, learning from my veteran guys, it's helped me out a lot.
Tell me about that veteran group. Obviously, defensive line is all about chemistry. Can you build that only through practice and hit the ground running in game one?
Most of the thing is off the field, you got to have a good relationship off the field than on the field. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it's more so like if somebody trying to tell you something to do and they don't really do anything outside of football or anything like that, it's going to be hard for you to listen to them, right? So off the field, we hang out a little bit, have dinners, watch film together and stuff like that. So that's how we build our relationship off the field. So when it comes to on the field, it's easy.
How easy is it to play fast when you're trying to learn a whole new system and, in large part, a whole new game?
Practice. You got to go outside of practice and run your butt off. I was going to say something, but yeah, run your butt off and compete. You got to be a student athlete. You got to, when you get home, you got to read the playbook over and over again. Walk through. Make sure you know what you're doing. Grab some guys with you, go to the field, and be a pro. That's what being a pro means. Doing the little things, handling your business.
Tell me about adjustments you've had to make. First of all, the yard off the line of scrimmage. How difficult is that, and what's the transition like? What do you tell yourself, or how do you get coached it?
So with the yard off the ball, right? So the offense had the advantage. With me, it's more so my get off, right? Because down south it's more so like 5 steps to the quarterback, but up here it's more like about 6, 7, right? So what my coach told me to do today, right? With that front you got forward, you got to lift it up just a little bit so you can get a good get off. So that's what I've been trying to work on.
Eyes, they talk about training your eyes. There's a lot of things happening in the backfield. How do you make sure your eyes are where they need to be?
Read your key. Yeah. If you go 5 technique, 4 technique, your key is right in front of you. Most of the time it's going to be a guard or a tackle. And depending on where the running back at, if he's on the other side, more than likely is the play going to come to you. If he's to your side, it's going to go away. So just look at your keys and it's going to tell you where to go.
Watching your film is really fun, especially when you even go all the way back to high school, when you come out and ESPN names you the top defensive end in the nation. That's a lot to live up to, isn't it?
This definitely is, though. But, you work hard. You do everything you got to do. It's not that hard, but it ain't easy. You know.
How excited are you for week number 1 for you against BC and to get into some live reps again?
Yeah, I'm super excited. This first week is going to set everybody up, not just me, but my job is to go out there and win my one-on-one, and that's what I'm going to do.
Desmond, appreciate your time. All the best this weekend.
Oh, yeah, no problem, man. You too.
That's Dave Thomas and Desmond Evans from earlier today. And if you're wondering about who to watch for those D linemen, because that is what has changed, and changed quite dramatically with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. The rest of the squad's going to be a little more experienced, a little wiser, a little older, and just about everywhere else.
And a little fun fact here with Desmond Evans. We kind of brought it up in the preseason when we were talking about him a little bit too, is he actually has a lot of similar physical measurements in comparison to like Willie Jefferson. So
look at that.
He's a big guy, big wingspan, similar 40 time, similar hand size. Broad jump's a little bit bigger, but yeah, in comparison to like physical attributes and kind of what he looked like on the field, people were making a lot of comparisons to Willie Jefferson.
And it would be a little bit irresponsible to compare them too much. Desmond has a long way to go to be compared to Willie Jefferson, but if they get even 80% of the production out of him that Saskatchewan and Winnipeg got out of, and Edmonton for that matter, got out of Willie Jefferson, they'll be very happy with their return and feel very good about the changes that they've made along the defensive line. They were going to have to get some new bodies in there. Too many players were performing well but aging out last year, and Mike Rose is the one guy who's still there, but everybody else has essentially changed with the new bodies. Time for our check-in with Croft Electric, and right now on the Western Pizza Hotline, we are joined by Crofty himself. What do you have going on this week?
How's it going, boys? We're excited. Summer's finally here, and we can get through these little bit of rain and thunderstorms, and that's some hail, I guess, yesterday too. Some of our customers had some hail, so we're excited for summer.
Do you get specific calls when that kind of weather happens? I never even thought of that, but does that impact a lot of your clientele as far as requests and calls you get when you get that kind of weather?
For sure, any weather event. Especially wind. Hail will do a little bit of damage to light fixtures and different things on the exterior of people's homes and businesses. So we sometimes get that, but the hail's got to be pretty big to do that damage, which I heard we had some pretty big hail in the uplands area. But, wind and then the power outages, right? So wind will knock out power lines and different things like that, knock a tree down onto your overhead line and stuff like that. So then, we got some repairs to do there, but then there's also brings up, the other part of our business, which is generators. So if, you got a home or a business, you need to keep running through those power outages. That's, we're here to help you there.
This is a perfect time of year to get that generator too, isn't it? It's not a life and death situation. So if you happen to run into that situation, this is the time to do it, isn't it? So that you're not scrambling in the winter months.
100%, Winter is when everybody really gets worried because obviously the power goes out in the middle of winter and it's 40 below or cold outside. You got things freezing up in your house or your barn or your shop, and that's not good. So now is the best time to get us out to let us help you do that. And, if we have to put something underground, we can do that this time of year. It is the best time to get a hold of us. Plus, there's a little bit of, we got to get the generator in, and we have a few in stock, but we're hoping that we get lots of calls, and we have to order some more in. So the more preparation we can do, the more we can help you out.
Always better to beat the rush, for sure. And this is, like you said, the best time to do it. Also, hey, before we let you go, what do you think about the Riders' chances on Saturday?
Oh, we're going to wipe the field with them. Well, I hope so. As a diehard Rider fan, I'm looking forward to tailgating. We're going to have a Croft Electric tailgate out there, and it's going to be the first one, so bear with all us tailgaters as we figure it out. But I think it'll be a really good game, and I'm just excited to get the season rolling. To be honest, it was funny with the preseason and then the big gap. It felt like a little bit of a stutter start for us, but I'm excited.
The tailgate's going to be an exciting time there, Crofty. Are you going to make sure you bring a standby generator for everyone out there? Keep the power going at the tailgate.
We will definitely have it. And it's funny, like we were talking with some of our group, Sharky included, what are we going to have at the tailgate? And it's kind of like we want to have have a TV or something to be watching other games. You want to do all this stuff. And, of course, we're going to have some food. We're going to have some bevies, ice cold bevies on in the cooler. But it's kind of like I said, we're unsure of how our layout's going to be and how it's all going to work. So we're, the first one here is going to be a little bit of a learning experience. But, yeah, definitely we'll have a Generac generator sitting there purring and supplying us power for whatever we need.
If you want to find Crofty at the tailgate, look for the guy with the generator. If you need help from him, of course we had that number up if we want to bring that back up one more time. You can reach out to him directly, 306-586-1333. Croft Electric, almost 29 years of trusted, reliable home, farm, and commercial service for all electrical needs. CroftElectric.com and all socials. Crofty, thanks for this. We'll talk to you again next week.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Have a great night, guys.
And there you have it. So he thinks we're going to wipe the floor with the BC Lions on Saturday. And the Leos are unveiling those sweet, sweet Pacific Frost unis. And sometimes if you're going to kill the excitement around new wardrobe, it's when they lose. So if they go through a game or two in a row where they lose, it doesn't work so good for them. So the Roughriders hope to snatch any good vibes they get from that new get-up on opening night Saturday. News is next. When we come back, we will check in with the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame in Hour 3. You are listening to the Sports Cage on Rider Radio 620 CKRM or watching at sportscage.com.
We are 620 CKRM, a Harvard media station, broadcasting live from downtown Regina.
The news is brought to you by Crestview Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, home of Saskatchewan's biggest selection of Ram trucks and Jeeps. CrestviewChrysler.ca.
News is brought to you by Echo Sound in Fort Capel. Stay connected with a new cell phone from Echo Sound, your SaskTel authorized dealer. Call 306-332-6711.
It's 5 o'clock. Good evening. Cloudy with a risk of a thunderstorm and 15 degrees in Regina. I'm Denis Conroy from the Sask Today newsroom with 620 CKRM News. Funnel clouds may develop in parts of southern Saskatchewan today as weak thunderstorms form during the evening. Environment Canada says the clouds are expected to be caused by weak rotation beneath rapidly growing storm clouds. While these funnel clouds often remain harmless, there is a possibility that some could develop into weak landspout tornadoes. Officials say residents should stay alert, monitor forecasts, and be ready to take shelter if a funnel cloud appears nearby. A round of powerful summer storms left thousands of Saskatchewan residents in the dark. Sask Power reports approximately 9,250 customers experienced outages during the latest bout of severe weather. Regina accounted for more than 3,000 of those customers, while several southeastern communities also saw service disruptions. The largest outage affected much of Carlisle and nearby Manor for about 6 hours. Sask Power thanks customers for their patience and says planned outages could still be required as damage inspections continue. More than $200 million has now been raised for patient care and medical innovation at Royal University Hospital in Saskatoon. The Royal University Hospital Foundation marked the milestone following its annual general meeting, highlighting decades of donor support since 1983. Recent investments included advanced neurosurgical technology, cardiology upgrades, and expanded training opportunities for specialists. Foundation officials say the contributions reflect strong community commitment to improving health outcomes and ensuring Saskatchewan patients can access leading-edge care close to home. Police are investigating after suspected human remains were found in Regina. Officers responded to a call on Red Lac Street Tuesday afternoon and located what appeared to be human remains outside of a home. The discovery prompted a significant police presence as members of the Major Crimes Unit, Forensic Identification Unit, and Saskatchewan Coroner Service launched an investigation. Authorities have classified the death as suspicious. Regina police also say the case is unrelated to the ongoing search for missing woman Camille Hilderman. New overdose statistics are fueling debate over Saskatchewan's response to addiction. The NDP says Regina recorded 415 overdoses in April, while Saskatoon emergency responders handled hundreds more, bringing the combined total in the province's two largest cities to roughly 1,000 incidents in a single month. The opposition argues more urgent action is needed to address prevention and recovery supports. The province says it has expanded treatment capacity, overdose outreach programs, and access to addiction services. That's 620 CKRM News. Read more stories from around your community and around the province at sasktoday.ca and 620ckrm.com. Weather is next.
And now your summer savings report for Crestview Chrysler in Regina. Current conditions include no-charge diesels on select Ram trucks, kicking off a powerful month of savings here in Regina, and adventure seekers can get into a brand new Jeep Cherokee with payments starting at just $279 bi-weekly plus tax. Forecast models are calling for heavy discounts, low finance rates, and serious trade values, all expected to continue throughout the entire month. This has been your summer savings report for Crestview Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Regina.
Now this is technology. Betamax, landline, 3 channels of my TV.
You're so behind, I don't know if I should laugh or cry. You desperately need to go to Echo Sound, your SaskTel authorized dealer.
Sounds futuristic.
It is. Max Stream TV, SaskTel Internet, and the latest cell phones.
Stream TV?
No schedule or waiting.
Internet?
High speed?
No phone cord.
No cord. Boy, your mind's gonna be blown.
Echo Sound, your SaskTel authorized dealer in Fort Capel. EchoSound.ca.
Weather for next-gen coatings. Spray coatings for truck bed liners, rocker panels, and more. Same company, new name. 1865 McCarra Street, Regina. And Kevin's Marine. Make the most of summer with a boat or pontoon from Kevin's Marine in Fort Capel. kevinsmarine.com.
Occasional rain showers continue through the evening and then ease up overnight. Some of the showers are heavy. There are some locally heavy downpours, a couple of thunderstorms in the mix, but the trend through the evening and nighttime will be for all this to wind down. A few spotty showers and thunderstorms then flare up once again tomorrow. The breeze primarily in and around storms, but enough of a breeze to keep things moving. Northwesterly 20 to 30 overnight, even a little stronger through the day Thursday, and in and around storms, gusts over 50. We drop off to near 9 tonight, 16 the high tomorrow, mostly cloudy sky for Thursday night. The showers should dry up as we fall off to around 6, although the evening could still feature at least a couple of isolated showers. Friday looking mostly dry, nothing more than a passing shower or two right in the middle part of the afternoon at 15 for the high. And then we close out the week with the unsettled weather and bring in the weekend with much more comfortable conditions. Sunshine 18 on Saturday, 21 on Sunday. With your 620 CKRM weather forecast, I'm Precision Weather meteorologist Phil Spivak.
For over 40 years, you've known them as Regina's trusted vehicle protection specialists. Now they're introducing the next gen of coatings. New name, new level of protection. They're now next gen coatings. 3 generations of their family have served your family, and that hasn't changed. Same owners, same commitment, ready for the next gen of truck beds, rocker panels, trailers, bumpers, and running boards. The company hasn't changed, just the name. Next Gen Coatings, 1865 McCarra Street. The next gen starts now.
This is the year to own the boat of your dreams. At Kevin's Marine, discover legendary Lund boats, built for a lifetime of serious fishing and family fun. Stretch out and relax, or enjoy the day with family on a brand new pontoon from Bentley or Crest, or make a splash in a 4-wind sport boat, all powered by trusted Mercury 4-stroke motors. Right now, get manufacturer rebates, dealer discounts, and low payment financing. Make decking easy with Shoremaster aluminum docks and lifts. Visit Kevin's Marine in Fort Capel or kevinsmarine.com.
Broadcasting from Century Studios in downtown Regina, Harvard Media presents The Sportscage, where Saskatchewan comes to talk local sports. Brought to you by Regina Motor Products. RMP summer offer on now until August 31st. Receive a $25 SOE gift card with purchase of a vehicle health check and oil change package. Visit RMP today. Be part of the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262. The Sports Cage. Streaming at sportscage.com, our YouTube channel, and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
Brendan McGuire and Curtis Gammon holding down the fort on this Wednesday Sports Cage for RMP. And I also wanted to mention, I don't want to neglect the YouTube chat. One handle at Brendan Manns 5142 says, I don't think it's a new road jersey. I think they'll just be wearing their regular road jerseys at home. No. So, yeah. I don't know about that. No, I think based on what we're seeing, it's probably going to be a new jersey, but we'll see. We will watch with bated breath. It seems like they've come up with a different way of unveiling these new jerseys, and I think that's a good thing. They don't necessarily announce it before the year starts. They're more like rolling them out right before the game is played, and that makes it a little more exciting. And another one, I've known, Nick McConnell says he's known Crofty for almost 50 years. You just gave Crofty's age away, and you're going to have to buy him a drink on Saturday for that one. You can chime in on the discussion as well through the Prairieland text line. Prairieland Rentals and Sales since 1986. For big or small jobs, stop in and deal with the owner. 600 Albert Street, snowblowers, skid steers, power sources, moving equipment. We're very pleased to be joined on the Western Pizza Hotline right now by Oliver Timo, who did the research and put together Game Changers, and will host a discussion on the research and curation of the exhibit tomorrow, Thursday, June 11th, from 6 till 7 at the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame and Museum. And it's right now, Oliver joins us on the line, and I wanted to ask you, is this open to the public, or is this just a media event?
So this is open to the public. Anyone can come, stop by, and listen to the talk, see the display, and ask questions afterwards.
Tell us about the display. I know that it's an exhibit for the 2SL LGBTQIA plus community. What can you tell us about the exhibit as a teaser a day before the event?
Well, it features some of the amazing athletes that have come out of Saskatchewan and built up sports, and it talks about their identity and how they have come up in sports as queer people. And there's a couple local organizations to Saskatchewan as well who help people stay active and get in sport while also fostering a safe community for a group that is often left out.
What kind of work did you have to do to put this exhibit together?
Well, I was approached by my supervisors, as I'm just a student employee there, and they asked if I wanted to do a display for Pride Month. I said yes immediately and started researching. From there, they were reaching out to some of our past inductees, and I conducted interviews. And I really wanted to make this available to anyone, whether you're new to the subject, you're familiar with it and want to learn more. There's something for everyone, and I really just wanted to make this visible so that people can feel like they're not alone in sports, even though this province can sometimes feel very vast. There's someone out there, there's community, and you don't have to be alone in anything.
I can see here that you spoke with inductees Jackie Nickel and Karen Lofstrom. Sometimes when these exhibits come out, we're beforehand oblivious to the challenges that some of these athletes face. Were you surprised to find that there were so many athletes that had to deal with this particular issue?
A little bit. Like, I know that people are out there, but not ones that are so open about it. That was the hardest thing, is navigating whether someone is comfortable sharing their story or not, because there's probably a lot more people out there, a lot more athletes, but it is hard to find people who are comfortable telling their story and talking to a stranger, even though they had some familiarity with the Hall of Fame. I'm not someone that they've talked to, so sharing those kinds of things is very hard. So it was something that I had to learn to be very comfortable with these people and really respect that. And that was something that I was very careful when I was doing this. Is as much as I was surprised with how much they were willing to tell me, they were so eager, and it was so great to talk with them. And I learned so much from them.
When I think of a Hall of Fame, I think of old exhibits, old stories. I do not think of progressive causes, and I don't mean that in a insulting way toward other Hall of Fames. Are you aware of an exhibit like this in any other Hall of Fame, or is this something that's probably unique to your organization?
There's nothing that I know of. I know the Hockey Hall of Fame has a feature on Pride Tape, but nothing to the extent of the research that I've done or the highlighting specifically queer athletes. This is kind of something a little bit new, but I think it's an important topic to talk about in sport, as a lot goes into these athletes, regardless of their performance on the field. There's a lot behind the scenes that goes into sport, and there's a lot of people who are left out of sport because of things behind the scenes. So that's kind of something that I personally find very interesting and would love to see more Halls of Fame do, but I don't know of any other display like this yet.
And if people want to show up for this thing, is it just as simple as that? Just show up, or do they need to call ahead?
No, you can show up. Entry is free. We just ask for donations, and you can show up. It starts at 6, and I'll just be doing my talk. And then after that, you can look at the exhibit. You can ask questions, and anyone can show up, no matter your skill level with understanding the topic or how much you want to talk to people. You can just show up, watch it, leave, or you can have a nice discussion with all the other people.
That's tomorrow, Thursday, June 11th, from 6 till 7 at the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame at 2205 Victoria Avenue in Regina. Oliver Timo, thank you for this, and good luck tomorrow. Hope it all goes well.
Yes, of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay. And again, that's happening tomorrow. Big event at the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame as they unveil their new exhibit. Before we break, I also wanted to mention, many of you know that this is the home of University of Regina Rams football. We're excited for another season, and I've done their radio broadcasts on 620 CKRM for the last 2 years, and I get questions around town about what the Rams are going to look like this year, and I just make the comment, I think they're going to be as fun to watch as they've ever been in the last, really since the pandemic. And their quarterback situation is very different from like what the Roughriders have, where you have two quarterbacks who are very much wired for the same system. The Rams have two very different quarterbacks in the fact that I think it makes it exciting because they can throw a lot of different hooks at any defense they face, and I think it'll be a team that has as dynamic of an offense as we've seen in a very long time. But the reason I wanted to bring up the Rams, I was seeing on social media that they are hunting around to find ticket sellers for the 50-50 for the game on Saturday. Now, the 50, I don't know all the particulars of it, but I know the 50-50 at Roughrider home games is a big funding source for not only the Rams, but other programs around the province, including the Hilltops, the Thunder, the Huskies, etc. So if anybody wants to help out with the University of Regina Rams 50-50, reach out to the Regina Rams program. They would greatly appreciate it and could certainly use your help. And it is a very worthy cause, and give us games to broadcast, to watch, and have so much fun with. You were going to add something to that?
I was going to say, on the topic of new looks, I did finally get the picture. So they're teasing new uniforms, the Prairie Blizzard uniforms.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
I don't actually know what they are.
Yeah, they didn't really announce it. That's why we're kind of a little bit ambiguous about it. But I'm pretty sure they are getting a new uniform. It's just we don't know what it looks like yet. I have a feeling it might be somewhere along the lines of like the BC uniforms as well, kind of those white ones that they were doing. But
I don't understand what's different on that, what we're seeing there from what they normally wear on the road. Like, doesn't that, I'm thinking of AJ Ouellette's road jersey, and I feel like I don't know that looks a lot different. Maybe a little bit of gray that they've mixed in.
Well, their away uniforms, the logo itself is still green, and the jerseys are white. You can kind of see with the teaser here that it's like an inverted color. So the logo is white with like green accents rather than it be green with white accents. So it's going to be, I imagine somewhere similar to kind of like the Obsidian Greens where like the numbers are green and stuff as well. I think it's going to be like an all white uniform with like small green accents on it rather than a white uniform with the green accents. It's hard to explain on the radio, but I think it'll be cool. It'll be cool.
You know, my dad was a mechanic, and he always had this way of words with me to leave me more confused than I was when I originally asked the question. I feel like that's what you and I just went through. I think what it says is I don't know anything about style or uniforms, and we'll just wait until week 4 and see what it all looks like. But it's exciting that they're trying some different colors and whatnot. Injury report came out today for this week against the BC Lions because we're now 3 days away. Offensive lineman Darius Bell, a wide receiver Dylan DeJet. Daniel Johnson, the offensive lineman, was practicing today, so he might be able to participate in the game on Saturday. Late Corte Moore has been injured, as has Benoit Marion. Ryder Varga, the guy who they brought back from Toronto. He was released by the Argos. Now he's with the Roughriders. He wasn't able to practice today at all. And Nick Weeb, the linebacker, was limited today. So basically, Daniel Johnson, Nick Weeb are both limited. Darius Bell, Dylan DeJet, and Lake Corte Moore.
I think it's DeJet.
I stand corrected. Benoit Marion and Ryder Varga all unable to practice today. So who knows, that could change in the next day or two as far as their status and availability for Saturday. Time to break. When we come back, we'll hear more from Dave Thomas and the Saskatchewan Roughriders. You are listening to the Sports Cage on Rider Radio 620 CKRM or watching at sportscage.com.
Rider Nation lives on 620 CKRM. I'm Dave Thomas, voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Saturday is game day as the Riders take on the BC Lions. Countdown to kickoff with Tegan Whitco and Wes Cates is at 2. The pregame show's at 4. And kickoff with Luke Mullender and I is at 5. Saskatchewan Roughrider football on the Cooperators Rider Broadcast Network is brought to you by SaskTel, the Cooperators Redhead Equipment, Prairie Ford Dealers, and Sask Power. Stream every moment of Rider football at Sportscage.com.
They could have just called it a flooring store.
Yeah, but that doesn't really cover it.
Carpet, hardwood, laminate.
Outdoor flooring, artificial turf, rubber athletic flooring.
Hey, that's more than a store.
Exactly. That's a superstore.
So whether it's your living room, your garage, your gym, or your backyard,
think bigger, think super. I think you've got it now.
Flooring Superstore, quality floor. Over 20 years serving Regina and area. FlooringSuperstoreRegina.ca.
We asked Levi Soa from Wadena, Saskatchewan, why his family chooses Ag Direct for their crop hail coverage.
We really like the convenience of purchasing online, and Ag Direct's rates are always good. We also get a customer loyalty discount, and now they're launching a claims-free discount too. For our money, there's just no other crop hail insurance company like Ag Direct Hail.
Find out why thousands of farmers just like Levi choose Ag Direct year after year. Visit agdirecthail.com or call toll-free.
If you've got a Steelcraft garage door, you've got a door with parts manufactured and assembled right here in Canada. A door with better insulation and seal, plus a warranty you're probably never going to use. Combined with a LiftMaster opener, it's the right choice. And if you don't have a Steelcraft garage door, you should get one. And a LiftMaster opener. 100% made by Canadians for Canadians. Steady, tariff-free pricing and great quality, no matter what.
Steelcraft door, Steelcraft door, Steelcraft door. We offer more.
For 70 years, Fries Tallman has been more than a building supplier. It's been part of the community. Family owned since 1956, Fries Tallman is proud to grow alongside the families, builders, and businesses they serve. This milestone is about more than time. It's about trust, hard work, and relationships built to last. Thank you for being part of the Fries Tallman story. Visit FriesTallman.com. Fries Tallman. Locally owned, family grown, rooted in our community for 70 years.
Get it hot and get it fast. Western Pizza.
Hey, it's your stomach. We need to talk. What are you doing to me here? Another sad little salad? I like eating healthy as much as the next stomach, but sometimes I want to live. Load me up with a Western pizza, pepperoni, ham, bacon, melty cheese. Now we're talking. And maybe some ribs, lasagna, or souvlaki on the side. Treat me like a respected stomach. Western Pizza. Dine in or take out today.
And get it hot and get it fast. Western
It's time for the Sports Ticker, brought to you by Steelcraft Doors Regina, made in Western Canada for Western Canadians.
The Toronto Blue Jays underway in the bottom of the first at the Rogers Centre in Toronto. The pitching matchup, Max Scherzer back on the hill facing Jesus Luzardo. Rolls right off the tongue. The Jays, 2 games under 500, hoping to get a little closer to that mark if they can pull out a victory tonight. The Regina Red Sox back in action. They are on the road facing the Weyburn Beavers. Other games in Saskatchewan, the Moose Jaw Miller Express visiting the Swift Current 57s, and also the Saskatoon Berries home to the Medicine Hat Mavericks. Other games in the WCBL, Sylvan Lake faces the Energy City Cactus Rats in Edmonton or Spruce Grove, wherever they play. I never did like that name. I still don't. The Lethbridge Bulls visit Fort Mac, and Okotoks is home to the Brooks Bombers. That's your Sports Ticker for Steelcraft Doors Regina, made in Western Canada for Western Canada. I love the jingle from that ad. Some of the ads on this station are just terrific because they're the same jingles for like 30 years. I don't know if they've had the same one for that long, but it just sticks in your mind. Really, really catchy. Okay, earlier today, or actually I guess in the last day or two. By the way, did you see Sam Emilis was here hanging out in our offices today?
Yes, he was here the other day too.
What is going on? Is Sam stealing one of our jobs? Is that what's happening?
He was doing a little commercial voicing action.
Oh, okay. So, he's doing the prod stuff.
Yeah. He came in the day after they gave out those championship rings. And my office, I could see like across the street when people are like parking their cars and stuff. And I'll look out with my coffee and take a look. And then across the street, I'm like, is that Samuel Emilis across the street just getting out of the car? And I was like, so the first thing I do is I go to the stations, the morning shows, and I'm like, hey, like, did you guys have him on this morning and talk to him? Because occasionally, you know, we have some rider players come through or whoever does an interview on the morning show. So I just saw him like with the trunk open. I wasn't sure if he was just leaving or if he just got here. And I didn't see him in the lobby when I went by. So I was like, okay, maybe he just left. So went and talked to Cody and Gloria. And I was like, hey, did you guys interview him? And he's like, no. I was like, oh.
He's actually doing stuff here. Yeah. Well, who knows? Maybe a second career for him. I was kind of surprised that the Riders didn't face a little more competition in losing him. There were some suggestions at the end of last season that the Alouettes would throw a bunch of money at him to stay in Montreal, but instead they re-upped with Tyson Philpott, and so we got to keep Sam Emilis.
Either way, when I went back from talking to Cody and Gloria, then he was in the lobby, and I had to tease him about, hey, did you bring the championship ring? He did not. He didn't bring it. I was like, oh, man.
Has Dave been strutting around with his on?
No, Dave hasn't strut his around either. So I haven't seen one in person yet, but man, they're flashy.
Dave is the last guy on earth who will strut around with that. But earlier today, I guess it was yesterday, he caught up with Del Duncan Busby, who is going to play a very big role out of that Canadian receiving corps, especially with the way things changed in the offseason, probably losing more players than they thought they would with Tommy Neild exiting, and then the surprise sudden release of Aju, and we'll listen to what Dave and Del had to say yesterday right now.
Del Duncan Busby, are you ready for a season to finally get here?
Absolutely, man. I've been waiting all offseason for this opportunity, and just for us to be able to do this in front of the fans and be able to, do the banner and everything like that and go get a win. That's all that matters.
Year 3, how is it different for you?
It's a little bit more of like an understanding of my role and knowing what I got to do within the offense, and just the game slowing down a lot more has definitely been something that's changed a lot.
Did you watch week 1, what was happening across the league?
Of course. I had to watch it. I'm just excited that football was back and stuff like that, so I definitely watched it. And a lot of very close games, so it's very excited for the upcoming season.
I love it when I talk to Luke Mullender about how he watches games because he's dialed in the trenches to see what's happening. How do you watch a football game?
I watch a lot of the defense and stuff like that. Obviously, going up against them is kind of seeing how their Sams play, how their linebackers like to fit the box and stuff like that, and then also seeing like their free safeties and what kind of coverage that they run. So very defensive focused.
A lot of people that observe the CFL say year 3 for a player is not make or break, but it's one where you can definitely anticipate and see growth. Do you see that in yourself?
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like I've taken strides every single year, and I feel like this is just the next year for me to be able to take an even bigger stride with more of a solidified role.
Coach Mace is quick to say, you know what, last year was last year, but you already brought it up that there's a banner going up on Saturday. I know the fans in this building are extremely excited about that. What does it mean to have a chance to celebrate here at Mosaic Stadium with them one final time?
I mean, it means the world. Obviously, it was more than just us that won it. But, you know, like you just said, like, kind of got to let that happen and then let the excitement kind of die down and focus in on the game at the end of the day.
So I know that you're good at catches. How did you do on the team fishing trip?
Oh, man, I think I caught like 6 fish, and I didn't take any of them off the hook. I couldn't do it. It just felt a little weird for me.
Really? So you weren't challenging Yoshi for that 30-pounder?
Oh, absolutely not. I was catching little ones, like little 12 inches and stuff like that. I wasn't doing very big ones.
Well, who was helping you out? You should have got better bait or something, no?
My boy Wayne had me right. He put the leech on the hook for me and stuff like that. You know, I just let him do the work, and I just put my rod in and caught it if I did.
You didn't put the leech on either?
No, absolutely not. Leeches, I heard they suck blood. I'm not doing that.
There's 2 of us in Saskatchewan now. Thank you so much for backing me up, Del. It's a pleasure talking to you again. All the best this season.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
You can tell what Dave Thomas was interested in when he was down at practice. He was thinking about all the time spent at the cottage fishing out on the bye week. I think Duncan Busby's job and all receivers' job in that Saskatchewan offense is actually a lot tougher than people realize because they have the quick release offense where Trevor Harris has to get the ball out in under 2.5 seconds. That's just the way it's designed. It's not easy to get open that quickly or to get through whatever route you have that quickly. So it does put a little bit of stress on them too. We'll be curious to see how they respond. Again, without 2 of the Canadian receivers they had last year, Tommy Nield and also Aju, expect Del Duncan Busby to play a bigger role. Speaking of Canadians who play a big role at important positions, Logan Ferland was the only Canadian on the offensive line during the playoff run. A year ago, we expect him to have some company up there, but is the guy who's really the anchor of that O-line and seems to be the only Canadian they can really depend upon with that offensive line. Dave caught up with him about what to expect on opening night.
Logan Ferland, the countdown to kickoff is on. Does it seem like this countdown has been longer than any other kickoff you've awaited in your career?
Oh, way too long. We're just ready to get after it.
Tell me, how have you prepared your body and your mind with a 3-week layoff essentially between games, not to mention an entire offseason before that?
Yeah, honestly, just trying to keep each week like we're playing, treat it all the same as we would as if we are in season and we got a game that week. So continue to compete with the guys. We've got a great O-line room that just continues to work and just continue to compete with the guys.
Spoke with Coach Mace yesterday, and he has put last year way, way, way behind him. I know we're going to raise a banner here on Saturday night, an opportunity for the fans to celebrate in Mosaic Stadium with you, but how far in the past is that championship now?
Yeah, it's a ways back there. We're just looking forward to the future and just trying to get better.
Is it harder to flush a championship victory than, say, a West final defeat if you go back to 2025 and 2024 respectively?
That's a good question. You know what? I think either way you have to reset. Regardless, if you can or you can't, you got to figure out a way. And way to do that is just resetting each week and competing with the guys in that room.
It was almost 365 days ago that I said to you, you've moved to center. Are you comfortable with that, or would you prefer guard? And your answer was, well, I don't mind playing guard, but I'll do what the team needs. You're now playing center. What does that mean?
The same answer. I'll do what the team needs. They need me at center, I'll play center. They need me anywhere else, I'll play that. So, but we do a great job of staying prepared all across the line. We got lots of guys that can play multiple positions. And that's what we really pride ourselves on, is competing in every spot that we have.
Year over year, then, what has the adjustment been by you to adapt to the position of center? Because there's a lot of responsibility that lies there.
Yeah, honestly, getting into the film a lot more. Just studying what the opponent does, just so we can put the guys in the right position. As a center, that's your job. You're the quarterback of the O-line. So getting us into the right call as fast as we can and just get rolling.
What does it mean to you to be a leader and a mentor? I talked to guys like Ben Walls and Peter Borsch and even Connor Klassen, who is here, talk about them saying, boy, we look up to Logan Ferland, and knowing that he has been in our shoes and he's gone ahead and developed the way that he has. What does it mean when those guys look up to you?
Yeah, that means a lot. That's the whole goal. That's why I play the game is to mentor and obviously also from my family, but the main part is to mentor those young guys and give them a hope and a chance that they can make it if they work their butt off. And, I hope I can set that example for them.
Hope and chance are kind of two words that have been kicked around the last week or so when it comes to some of the team that went fishing. How did you do, and would you brag as having the top catch?
I think Yosh got the top catch. He got a 30-pound pike, but the rest of us, I think I got the most amount of fish, though. Yeah, I think I might have that number. Probably 15, most released. I didn't keep over my limit. Conservation officers don't come get me.
Fair enough. So the last question when it comes to fishing then, if I had to impromptu ask you, do you know the words to Fishing in the Dark? True Saskatchewan anthem, yes or no?
Oh, come on now. Absolutely. You're not going to catch me singing it, but I know them.
I wasn't going to have that road. You're way bigger than me. Logan, I appreciate your time. Wish you the best this season. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That was Logan Ferland chickening out from the invitation for a little karaoke. Are we going to try it? You and me go fishing in the dark, lying on our backs and counting the stars.
It's a good tune. You won't catch me singing it, though.
Da-da-da. There, we showed a little more courage than Logan Ferland did. I wouldn't say that to his face. I only say that when I can hide behind a microphone. Wednesday, Sportscage, Brendan McGuire and Curtis Gammon for RMP. And just wanted to thank everybody for helping us put this show together. And still ahead here in Hour 3, once again, we will hear from Dante Caria, the voice of the Regina Pats, about their head coaching search and what's happening with the Regina Red Sox. You are listening to the Sports Cage on Rider Radio 620 CKRM or watching at sportscage.com.
The summer farm season provides a landscape full of opportunity with Ritchie Brothers. Our sales schedule runs from June 9th through August 12th with 35 exclusive farm auctions spread across Western Canada, bringing you fertile land and quality equipment ripe for the picking. When the fields are at their best, it's time to tap into farm country. Get started today at rbauction.com/agriculture. Once again, that's rbauction.com/agriculture.
Winter in Saskatchewan tests everything, our patience, vehicles, and sometimes our bumpers. From icy parking lot dings to serious highway mishaps, choosing local matters. At Regina Motor Products Collision Center, we're Saskatchewan owned, run, and we drive these roads too. And SGI